Hello everybody, Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Welcome to the Joli Rogue and KSV second roundtable. Today's topic is the peak of performance. I would like to thank to each and every one of you for being here with us today online on this lovely Saturday morning. Anyway, let me introduce myself. My name is Faiz Hamzah. I am the Chief of Staff for the Joli Rogue, and I will be the chairperson for today's roundtable. For those who have joined our roundtable for the first time, allow me to explain the formats of today's session. Each speaker is given 15 minutes to present their topics, and then they will take questions from the audience. I will try to control our timing today so that we can end our session by 1:30 p.m. I also would like to encourage all audience to share what strikes you in the chat box during the speaker's presentation. So this roundtable is brought to you by the Joli Rogue, the aspirational pirate. Joli Rogue is a group of people who are inspired to carry out rebellious acts of positive change as a result to make the world a better place. And also, the event also is brought to you by Khairil and Shyan Ventures. It's a multi-family office that specializes in creating opportunities for business to scale and create impact. Before we start, I would like to ask you a question. How do you measure performance? To measure a business performance, usually financial reviews are conducted. Revenues, cash flow, gross profit, margin, operating margin, liquidity, and etc. are measured to see the company performance. And you also should measure non-financial targets to gauge the company performance. Some areas that should be considered, for example, customer service. What is the waiting time for your customer to get assistance? What is their complaints and the reason customer have complained? And then you also should look into the market share, whether your share of the market increase or decrease against competitors. And the last one is that you need to look into your staff. What is the satisfaction levels or the work quality and or the attendance records of your staff? So basically, this is all the key parameters of a business performance. Business success can depend on developing and implementing sound financial and management system. Many businesses fail because of poor financial management or planning. But then, business owners need employees that are able to get the job done because employee performance is critical for the overall success of the company. How do you measure your staff performance? Are you measuring it correctly? Under Ataraxia Berhad, we have a company called Akias Analytics. Akias is a Latin word which translates as insight in English. Basically, what Akias do is that we measure performance using scientific and mathematical approach. We have tools to do talent assessment solution. We have tools for company momentum assessment and also tools for a profit max model. So for talent assessment solution, what we do is that we measure the hearts and the minds of the company, which is the staff, the employee, the human resource. And for company momentum assessment is that we gauge the company whether they are accelerating or decelerating. And for profit max model, basically is a scientific approach for brand positioning. Anyway, today we have 6 speakers which will present. So this is all the handsome speakers. We will start our first speaker. Let me introduce our first speaker, Muhammad Khairul Redzuan, aka Wawan. He is the curator of the Joli Rogue. He runs the social media and the media content for KSV and the Joli Rogue. Fresh from college, Wawan joined us with the aspiration to be a young capitalist that creates positive impact on society. You can follow him on TikTok, Wawan Sparrow, where he talks about entrepreneurship and capitalism to the young generations. His topic today, Zero to Hero. Please welcome him.
Okay, first and foremost, I'm very honored to be among the distinguished speakers today, and I will take this great opportunity to share some of my thoughts regarding from zero to hero. Okay, basically my name is Muhammad Khairul. I am the curator for the Joli Rogue. The Joli Rogue merupakan satu club ataupun group of the aspirational pirate yang aspire then to spearhead the positive mass impact. Also, I am also attached with Hikayat and Berhad, which is to create an economic proposition for back art, which is balik Pulau Pinang. So, when I talk about hero, what is the first thing that pop up in your mind? Mungkin Superman, ataupun any other Marvel heroes, Iron Man, or might be our frontliners, or even our fathers. But that is also a hero. But let me define a hero first. Okay, in my perspective, a hero is a person that maximize all his resources that he have, ability and potential, and perform his best just to pursue a purpose. Tak kisahlah sama ada purpose tu berjaya ataupun tak, tapi apabila dia maximize the resources, for me, segala ability yang dia ada, it is a hero. Okey, pada hari Ahad selepas sahaja kita punya Perdana Menteri memberitahu bahawa rentas negeri telah pun dibenarkan di negara kita. So I was scrolling my Facebook newsfeed and then I found this advertisement. Okay, this advertisement is about Asia is promoting its low fare tickets for everyone to fly around Malaysia. So as everyone know, dia punya tagline, Asia punya tagline adalah now everyone can fly. And that tagline strikes me so well, and sebab tu I have intention to study more about Asia. So it is a journey about one man, which is Tan Sri Tony Fernandez, di mana dia mempunyai visi yang sangat hebat, which is untuk membuat penerbangan ni accessible to anybody, siapa pun boleh terbang. Tapi untuk mencapai visi yang hebat itu, it requires himself to push himself through. Dia kena utilize semua all of the resources, gunakan network, segala network yang dia ada, and then just to push himself through and becoming a high performance hanya untuk make the things happen, untuk achieve apa yang dia nak achieve tu. And because of that high performance, as we can see now, dia dah succeed. Okay, dia dah berjaya membuat penerbangan ataupun dia dah berjaya untuk menolong sesiapa saja untuk terbang dengan harga yang murah. So for me, this is a true hero. This is my kind of a true hero. Lepas tu, bila pandemic hit, okay, kita tahu banyak kapal terbang pun semua just parking at the airport, right? So bagaimana he push himself again untuk keluarkan Asia daripada masalah tu. Okay, so dia push himself, dia start untuk create benda baru, which is they create a super app model and they digitalize Asia, and because of that Asia is still the best. Tapi saya tahu juga ramai orang yang suka kritik pasal Asia dan ramai juga orang yang kutuk Tony Fernandez dan sebagainya. But I want to ask you one thing. Can you do what he did? And my answer will be, you can, we can. The thing is, we just have to willing to go to the asrama and manifest that dream. Imagination is more important than a knowledge. Knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the world. Guna imajinasi sebagai titik permulaan. Okay, imagine you as a hero, okay, and then start to push yourself through. Go to the extra mile. Always use all the potential that you have, all the network that you have, all the resources you have. Always push it and go to the extra mile and believe you are a hero and try to create something that make something bagus untuk the humanity, for the community, and because of that you will seize the day. Okay, macam mana kita nak jadi hero ni? Macam mana kita nak become a hero? So, first thing adalah to have a clear aspiration. It is our North Star, our big why. Why we are waking up in the morning at 5 am? Sebab apa kita willing bangun pagi pukul 5 pagi sedangkan waktu tu bilik kita sejuk. Lebih selesa apabila kita berada di bawah selimut, betul. Tapi why we are willing to wake up? Okay, why we want to push ourselves through, go to the asrama, even sebenarnya kita tak mau buat benda tu, tapi sebab apa kita kena buat? Sebab apa kita buat? It is because we want to achieve the aspiration. Okay, and we have to have the aspirational clarity and visibility. Dia contoh macam ni. Bila kereta dia tak ada minyak, tak boleh jalan kan. So sama juga dengan kehidupan kita. Kalau kita tak ada aspirasi, kita ada aspiration yang clear dan kita boleh nampak aspiration tu, susah untuk kita bergerak. Tapi bila kita clear dengan aspiration kita tahu kita nak apa, kita nampak apa yang kita nak tu, and then for sure dia akan drive kita pergi dengan lebih cepat dan hebat. And that is the step to become a hero. Dengar macam simple kan, macam senang kan benda ni kan, tapi trust me one thing, simple is not easy. And maybe I will encourage you to start with an action plan. Maybe we can start, contoh kan, okay, ambil satu buku ataupun kertas, just tulis 5 ataupun 7 ayat that describe your aspiration. 5 ke 7 ayat yang describe aspiration, okay, and then lepas tulislah kat bawah dia kan, dalam 30 atau lebih ayat hanya untuk describe sebab apa aspiration tu tadi tu penting untuk kehidupan anda, penting untuk diri anda. And try untuk setiap pagi bila bangun pagi, try untuk tengok benda tu dulu. Try tengok benda tu before you start to do anything. And try untuk buat dalam masa sebulan saja. And you can see how the things is going. You can see the changes in yourself. Trust me. And if you ask my aspiration, kalau anda tanya apa aspirasi saya, okay, I will tell you my aspiration is to become a thought leader. Okay, I want to share my idea and my knowledge to better the humanity, untuk memberi faedah kepada orang lain. And then I want to ramp up my own company at valuation RM, go IPO at valuation RM 10 billion market cap in 2025, which is around 4 years time. So saya ada aspirasi tu, saya nak bawa company pergi IPO pada tahun 2025 dengan market cap 10 billion. So itu aspirasi saya. So setiap pagi bila saya tengok balik aspirasi saya tu, okay, setiap pagi bila saya tengok, saya akan ambil masa 5 ataupun 10 minit tengok aspirasi saya, dan saya akan check balik apa yang saya nak buat hari ni, apa effort yang saya perlu letak hari ni, banyak mana effort yang saya nak letak, apakah my win for today, and how I'm gonna achieve that win for today untuk membuat saya achieve that big win in 4 years time. So saya akan check balik. So dari situ benda tu, okay, takkan dalam 4 tahun akan datang aku nak bawa company aku pergi IPO, takkan aku just nak duduk relax, takkan aku nak duduk lepak dengan kawan-kawan aku lagi setiap hari kan. So I have to think, takkan saya nak duduk saja tunggu orang-orang hebat datang saya ajak saya. No, I have to put the effort to learn, I have to put the effort untuk capai saya punya aspiration tu 4 tahun akan datang. So that is number 1. So number 2 is to craft a game plan. You were born to win, but in order to win, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. And it is from Zig Ziglar. Okay, kita untuk jadi high performance ni bukanlah kita perlu, macam kita nak jadi high performance, kita boleh jadi high performance. For sure cannot. We have to plan how to become a high performance people. So try to make Sunday, cuba untuk membuatkan hari Ahad tu untuk sebagai hari yang kita plan semua benda throughout the week. Make the Sunday as a day that you plan for your entire week, and then also take that Sunday as a rest day or a reflection day for you. And I say this by my experience. Okay, saya tak cakap kosong, saya dah pernah lalui benda ni actually. in our circle, the Joli Rogue itself, we often setiap Ahad malam kami akan adakan meeting di antara kami, which is our Sunday night ritual to track balik segala progress ataupun win dalam minggu tersebut, ataupun untuk work on the issues yang berlaku dalam minggu tersebut, and we keep refresh our mind together, and we ingat balik apa aspirasi masing-masing. So we refresh on that aspiration, and from there we kickstart a new awesome week. And mungkin agak susah untuk permulaan, because for sure dia memerlukan masa untuk kita adapt dengan benda tu. So what I can encourage you all is start to overload your task. Contoh kan, macam contoh sebelum ni sehari kita ada 1 ataupun 2 task yang kita need to complete. But cuba tambah benda tu. Katakan sehari kita buat dalam 5 ataupun 7 task untuk kita complete. And make sure kita accomplish semua goal tu dalam sehari. Kita make sure semua yang kita plan tu semua selesai dalam masa 1 hari. And then kita akan nampak the things going, and kita akan lebih rasa kita akan lebih rasa achievement tu bila kita accomplish all goals. And benda tu memang perlu di-celebrate sebenarnya, untuk kita rasa benda tu kita bangga dengan diri kita. And then I will encourage you to start simple. So kalau macam tak ada banyak benda kan, so just pick one core things. Pilih satu benda yang betul-betul kita nak buat. And then from that one thing, kita pecahkan kepada banyak-banyak step. Kita pecahkan kepada banyak-banyak step, and then we try to accomplish all the steps within that week. And that is number 2. The number 3 is, I want to ask you one question, which is, what is the most expensive capital in your life? If you ask me, the most expensive capital is our time. Time is the most expensive capital. We have to master the time. Kita perlu master the time. Kita perlu bahagikan masa tu dengan begitu baik sekali. Kita perlu, contoh diberikan satu task, kita perlu beri satu task tu 2 jam. So kita perlu bagi settle task tu dalam masa yang diberikan. Tolong jangan lajak benda tu. Bila kita start on lajak benda tu, masa kita akan terbang dengan begitu saja. And saya nak bagi kita yang, walaupun kita nak menjadi high performance people ni, tak bermakna kita tak boleh menikmati keindahan hidup. As a good example, you can see Tony Stark, macam mana dia punya life awesome, and macam mana dia high performance. And basically our life is so simple. Life kita ni memang simple, tapi kita yang intend to make it very complicated. So saya ada pernah dengar satu presentation daripada Dr. Wayne Dyer, and Dr. ni present about smoking. Okay, maafkan saya all the smokers. And dia cerita pasal smoking. Okay, dia cerita macam in order to smoke, we have to buat keluar banyak duit untuk kita hisap rokok, kan? So bukan itu saja, kita juga sedang invest kepada company yang dah sah-sah kaya without any return on investment anytime we buy the cigarettes. And then just forget about them. Kita pun tahu yang rokok membunuh dan sebagainya, tapi cuba berfikir, untuk menghisap rokok, kita perlu cari rokok tu kat mana, kita perlu ambil dia daripada poket kita perlu keluar dan cucuk rokok tersebut. Tapi ada setengah yang mungkin hide, they are smoking from their children and so on. So dia pun kena lari pula daripada family dia pun untuk rokok. So nampak, untuk isap rokok saja pun kita dah buat banyak benda yang tak faedah. The process to get smoke, the work that we have to do just untuk isap rokok. And the thing is, benda yang kita perlu buat untuk tak mau isap rokok ataupun untuk berhenti isap rokok is just stop smoking. And that is our habit specifically. Itu adalah habit. Setiap orang mempunyai habit masing-masing, betul tak? So a habit is very fascinating things actually. Kadang-kadang kita fight, kita pertahankan habit kita tu. And kadang-kadang kita fight, contoh kita akan pertahankan sebaik mana habit yang kita ada tu. And cuba kita ubah sikit pemikiran kita. Okay, I give you one example. Cuba start from tonight, okay? Kita start to plan. Esok kita nak bangun untuk buat apa. Okay. Esok kita nak makan apa. Esok kita nak pakai baju apa. Kita plan malam ni. And then esok kita tak nak buang masa dah nak fikir pasal all the tiny little things, and then we can focus more on kita boleh fokus lebih kepada untuk buat decision yang lebih besar, decision yang lebih hebat dalam hidup kita. Kita tak terlampau, so all the tiny little thing ni dia tak distract kita untuk membuat decision yang besar. And when we talk about high performance, okay, when we talk about high performance, it always reflects to the diligence, potential, and abilities. And okay, I want to share with you something, the story that always amazed me. When the times or the era where computer or smartphone never existed yet, pada zaman yang tak ada teknologi, a typewriter was an awesome tool, adalah tool yang sangat hebat, di mana dia yang menghasilkan all the powerful letter at that time that create a mass impact in the world at that time lah. So, and what is amazed me and what strikes me is how the people that are use the typewriter become so diligently when use it. Bagaimana mereka menjadi begitu tekun apabila menggunakan the typewriter tersebut. Ia adalah kerana kita pun tahu apabila satu sahaja huruf yang salah kita silap tekan, the entire letter rosak. Semuanya rosak, kita kena buat balik, start it all over again. So dia mengajar kita untuk sentiasa praktis menggerakkan jari kita supaya jangan silap langkah. Bila kita silap saja kita perlu buat, and walaupun dia silap tak apa, just buat je, start it all over again, until kita berjaya, until kita siapkan. And I'm just a small kid that improve myself to be better, not to be perfect, but I am improving to be better. So in my journey to improve myself, I see one thing, that the most valuable thing is our capacity for the diligence and ability to work hard. That is the most valuable thing. Kita punya daya untuk kita menjadi tekun dan untuk kita bekerja keras. Benda tu adalah sangat berharga yang ada daripada diri kita. Kita perlu utilize benda tu sebab kita boleh push diri kita, tapi kebanyakan orang tak mau push diri kita. So whenever, walaupun apa yang kita buat sekalipun, apa yang kita buat, just buat. And then maybe kalau fail, buat je lagi sekali, even more carefully, buat dengan lebih baik. Kita belajar daripada kesilapan, kita buat dengan lebih baik. Because as we know, practice make perfect. Okay, sebabkan practice, benda tu akan menjadi senang. Benda yang susah boleh menjadi mudah. So always kita buat kerja kita tu, take it, contoh ada satu task yang diberikan kepada kita, take it as a first job. Ambil dia sebagai kerja pertama. Kalau kita fail buat kerja ni, kita tak dapat impress anybody. Betul tak? And also take it as a last job. Okay, kalau kita fail buat benda ni as a last job, kita tak dapat nak buat benda ni. Memang that is the last. And our life basically like a chess. Hidup kita ni sebenarnya bagai permainan catur. Okay? Every move in our life and also every move in a chess set has a consequence. Setiap pergerakan mempunyai consequence. Kita tak tahu bahawa consequence tu adalah consequence yang baik ataupun yang kurang baik. So in order untuk kita move forward, kita tak boleh, kita sama juga dalam chess, kita tak boleh nak terus bergerak ke hadapan. Kita perlu, at one time we have to take a few step back. Dalam kehidupan kita pun sama. At one time kita perlu take a few step backs in order to move forward, because saya percaya bahawa untuk kesengsaraan yang seketika akan membawa kepada kebahagiaan yang selama-lamanya. Okay, yang in the future yang kita tengok. Biar kita susah sikit sekarang, tapi in the future kita akan senang selama-lamanya. And in a chess set, okay, untuk bergerak dengan bijak atau untuk membuat langkah yang baik, kita perlu tengok kiri kanan, kotak kiri dan kanan chess set tu kan. So kita perlu aware dengan kiri kanan chess tu untuk kita membuat langkah yang baik. Same as our life. We just have to look around. Apa yang dekat dengan kita, kita perlu utilize it. Apa yang kita ada, kita perlu hargai. Orang-orang yang dekat dengan kita, semua itu adalah benda yang perlu kita hargai hanya untuk membuat kita ini rasa bahagia sebenarnya. Bila kita dapat appreciate all those things around us, our life will become more bahagia. Kita akan lebih merasa kita ini sempurna, kita akan lebih berasa bahawa kita ini dihargai dan sebagainya. Bila kita susah nak appreciate all the little things around us, tak ada tujuan lah kita hidup sebenarnya. Kita takkan dapat rasa the great of life. And I would like to invite, okay, it is a journey to become a hero. Seperti saya cakap tadi, ini semua adalah satu journey untuk kita membuat ataupun menjadi diri kita seorang hero. Tapi journey inilah saya ingin mengajar semua yang di sini, bukan sahaja khususnya orang muda ataupun all the entrepreneurs, untuk sama-sama be part of us in the great journey. Okay, for the entrepreneurs that always that thinks that their company is a platform for them to create the mass positive impact. So start untuk aim big. Okay, start to aim big by start to craft your company as a hero. Start to craft your company as a high performance company, and also start to craft your company to grow big and to go exponential. So you can contact us bila-bila masa saja yang anda nak untuk berinteraksi dengan kami. You can contact all of our pirates, and also we'll be constructing session which is benchmark session. Okay, benchmark session is a true eye opener. If you want to join, you just let us know. Okay, and also for all the youngsters, semua anak-anak muda, semua puasa yang hebat, kita lah yang generasi saya sebenarnya. Generasi saya adalah kita lah yang sebenarnya perlu menjadi hero yang sebenar. So I would like to invite anyone, any youngsters or might be siapa sahaja yang mungkin kena hit teruk selepas pandemik. Kita pun tahu banyak orang yang bisnesnya runtuh dan sebagainya disebabkan pandemik COVID-19 ini. So kami akan buka, so ada satu inisiatif daripada kami sendiri iaitu Anjak Mula which is untuk is a platform for anybody to become a hero, okay, to turn themselves to become a great hero that serve our nation better. So siapa sahaja yang punya minat untuk participate dalam gerakan yang amat hebat ini, tolong ataupun just contact us at our social media. In Facebook, you just search the Joli Rogue, and also Instagram, just search the Joli Rogue. Okay. And I would like to end my presentation today with one great quote. Okay? Sorry. A hero is someone who, despite weakness, doubt, fear, and not always knowing the answer, they still push through and perform their best to make the world a better place. These are the ordinary people that make themselves extraordinary. And this is our modern day pirate. What a great quote by yours truly, Muhammad Khairul and Shukri. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Redzuan. So there was a presentation by Redzuan. That is his very second, second public speak from him. Is there any questions from anybody? If there is no questions, I will proceed with the next speaker. Our next speaker, his background is corporate management. He is basically the marketing specialist of Hikayat Imperial Berhad. He's a diehard fan of Tottenham Hotspur, something that is very rare in Malaysia. He has been a marketer in various industries from automobile, telecommunications, publication, health supplements, and sports for more than 20 years. Previously, he was a chief marketing officer for Johor Southern Tigers before they changed their name to JDTFC. Some of the companies that he worked before is on marketing projects, Suzuki Malaysia, Celcom, TM Infomedia, Telecom Malaysia, SKV, and Selangor FC. Mr. Ayani Ismail will be presenting today on the topic of defining performance. Let's welcome Mr. Yani to present this topic.
Hello, hi everyone. Let me share my slides. All right, cool. Thank you, Faiz, for the introduction. You make me look so good. All right, I'm an average person. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today I will discussing about defining performance. Okay, basically, I don't want to preach to the choir because basically everyone here definitely know what is performance. All right, and we're going to discuss what is performance. I mean, everybody have their own perspective, right? And number two, I will share a bit about define and measure performance and method to improve performance. All right, just a brief. Okay, what is performance? Okay, if you Google it, you will find this. Okay, an act of presenting a play, concert, or other form of entertainment. And number two is the action of process of performing a task or function. Okay, number two, basically related to business, okay, entrepreneurship. So we're going to discuss today about this because performance can be anything. It can be me go to point A to point B, buy a coffee. It's also a performance. Okay, Yani, you go to buy coffee, you come back in 5 minutes time. So the 5 minutes time is the task that I need to accomplish. So the performance is based on that measurement, that metrics, right? It can be anything. Perform a prayer. Okay, how you perform a prayer is also a performance. But today I will discuss about more towards entrepreneurship and business. Okay, how do we define and measure performance? How do we define? Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say guy number one, okay, he brought in annual sales of 4 million. However, the collection of through that sales is only 2.3 million. Okay, and guy number two, he brought in annual sales of 2.5 million. Collection is 2.3 million. Same collection as the guy number one. So I want everyone here, okay, to type 1 or 2. Who do you think performed better for that particular organization? Please, at the chat, type 1 or 2. Faiz Hamzah, he said number 1 performed better. Anyone else? We have 30 over plus people here. Termidi, majority is 2. Khairul, Azman, Farid 2. MKI 2. The rest, come on guys. Nurul Husna 2. Farhan, all right, thank you. Majority said 2. Now, it must be a reason why you choose number 2 and some of them choose number 1. The question, the answer is there's no right or wrong. It depends on that particular organization, what they want to achieve. Now, I worked in TM Infomedia before, all right? So I disagree with the management on that time on how they measure performance. I disagree because the top sales brought in 4 million. Okay, the number 1 is the top sales. The number 2 actually is me. Okay, based on my personal experience. He brought in 4 million, but his collection is 2.3 million. He got 60,000 bonuses, go to Spain for holiday. I brought in 2.5 million, collection 2.3 million. I got 1,000 bonus and a trip to Langkawi. Now, the bottom line, the 1.7 million is uncollected. The 1.7 million is uncollected. So they have a cost, right? So annual sales 4 million, cost is more compared to the guy at number 2, 2.5 million, cost is less, correct? So who brought in a better bottom line? Faiz, who brought in a better bottom line? You said number 1, right? But a better bottom line definitely is the guy number 2.
Yes.
Okay, this is the scenario that is happening in most organizations. However, it depends, because why the organization chose the 4 million guy, because the top management, pressured by the shareholders, they gave report based on the annual sales, not based on the report, not based on the collection. All right, pressured. Top management, CEO, GM pressure, head of sales, semua pressure. So they give 4 million. They do not count the 2.3 million. But as a business owner, okay, if you are a business owner, what do you look into? You look into the ROI. You look into the bottom line, right? So it all depends. Performance, it depends on your policy on what you want to do. So everybody understand? If understand, please type Y on the chat. I don't want to talk alone. I want you guys to, be with me. If you understand, type Y. If you don't understand, type N at the chat. Okay, yes. Tak payahlah tulis yes. Tulis Y je, type Y je. Yang 1 tu kenapa? Y is yes, you understand. N is no. Type Y if you understand. Type N if you don't. All right. Most of you understand. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, there's another scenario. I'm a marketing guy. Okay. I was introduced to marketing during the traditional time. Okay. Now we are in the digital era. Right, digital era. We have SEO, SEM, or they say PPC. We have social media marketing. We have, content, they call it. Now they created this so-called, say that, oh, now we need a content marketing. So as an old guy, I'm 50 years old. So for an old guy like me, when they say content marketing, I laugh. Content was like ages before. So they have content. TV commercial is content. Street billboard is content. Radio commercial is content. What the hell they're talking about content marketing? All right? It's about content and context, right? So now, as a marketer, now most of the entrepreneur, focusing more towards digital marketing, how to promote their product digitally. Okay, even the top corporates, top brands also are pursuing digital marketing. Now, small entrepreneurs, however, have need to face a harder challenge because their brand is unknown. Nobody knows their brand. So what they did in social media marketing, they do direct marketing. All right, so that's why when I teach in my class, social media, you do soft selling, SEO, you do hard selling. I need to, teach them about hard selling, soft selling, hard selling, soft selling. So now, I give you an example based on performance. How you define, right? Performance, right? So let's say a Facebook 5 days campaign ad, Facebook ad, 18,000 reach. It's quite good, right? 32,000 impressions, 4,500 link clicks. And the cost for the link, CPLC is cost per link click, is 0.06 cents. Total spend 291 ringgit 60 cents. 5 times conversion, one product cost 145. This is my student case study I just shared with you guys. One product is 145 ringgit, so equivalently 725 ringgit they collected. They spent a total of 291. Why is 725 if you calculate 0.06? Because in Facebook they have tax. You need to pay tax. Okay, it's not the amount of advertising. You need to pay tax as well. So the tax is part of the advertising cost. Now, at the chat again. Do you think what is the performance of this ad? If it's good, type Y. If it's not good, type N. And I'm going to pick randomly any one of you to explain on your turn. Tapi jangan takut lah, just chat. Just kind of. If you think this is performed well, type Y. If it doesn't, type N. Khairul Azman ni saya tekan satu saya pun tak faham. All right, now since Khairul Azman selalu sleep, Khairul Azman, mana Khairul Azman? Henrik Leo. Okay, Henrik said no and Khairul Azman said yes. Now, I want to see your perspective. Now, I'm going to stop sharing for a while. Khairul Azman mana? Kat tangan? Khairul Azman. Okay, Khairul Azman, please unmute why you said that ad performs.
Okay, first and foremost, I never do ad for Facebook for the past 10 years. For me, as long as it's bring profit, it gets some profit there, and I think it's a good exercise for the advertisement.
Okay, all right. That's your view. Okay, yeah. You see the 700 plus 290, and to you is they're making a profit. So Henrik, mana Henrik? Which one is Henrik? Henrik, please unmute. Okay, Henrik Leo, you said no. Why?
I think the amount you spend and revenue you get it's not so balanced. Because I also have do this one, the marketing, digital marketing. I feel the amount is too small, not worthwhile.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I continue my slides. Okay, we have two different point of view, correct? So as I said in my previous slide, it depends on what you see things. All right. To me, both. If your company is more towards you want your brand to be noticed for 291 ringgit, 18,000 reach, 32,000 impression is a good exposure, brand exposure for your brand. Correct? It's a good brand exposure. Okay, people in a way subconsciously, oh, okay, I came across. However, if you are solely doing business digitally, you don't have your product, any of the shelf at Shell or Giant or supermarket. If you don't have your product at grocery stores or whatnot, 18,000 reach, 32,000 impression is not, it's not doing well. You must understand, because when you do TV commercial, right? One of our panel, Nash selalu buat TV commercial kan. Oh, dulu dia handsome, sekarang dia handsome lagi, masih handsome lah Nash. Nash selalu keluar kat TV commercial. Okay, now when they do TV commercial, how can we gauge an ad from TV sales from that particular ad? Can you measure the sales that you get from the TVC, from the billboards, from the radio ad? You can't. You can't measure. You don't know how many sales you get. But because of this, they have a brick and mortar kind of business, right? They want people, the consumer, to constantly know about their brand so that they are not left out from the market share. Okay, now, so in the digital market, okay, like Khairul said just now, okay, he said it's performing. 145, they have costs. They have OPEX. They have product costs. So 721 against 2. So to me, I agree with Henrik. This is not a good. If you are solely doing business or promoting digitally by social media, this type of figure is not performing well. So what you need to do? You need to do A/B testing and split testing. Okay, what is A/B testing is, we go for another, I have 10 minutes. So we go to another class, another session. A/B testing just roughly is like same kind of ad, they have the CTA, call to action, and you have your landing page or sales page, right? The call to action probably color is in white color or red color or blue color. The content is the same to the same target audience, to the same demographic, but different kind of positioning of ads. All right, so that is called A/B testing. You want to know which type of ad really perform well. All right, so split testing is demographic. Okay, I target age 20 to 25, and then I target age 26 to. So I want to see which category of age perform well. Who I need to create a persona of my target audience. Okay, right now, if you understand, please type Y. If you don't understand, please type N. I don't want everybody like tengok ngantuk je kan. All right, because my slide is pretty straightforward. All right, because I don't want to preach to the choir, because most of you in here definitely know what is performance. Okay, now, method to improve. How to improve? Okay, knowledge. To improve, you need to have knowledge. Okay, you need to read a lot, do research, go to classes, you know, to get more information so that you can make critical decisions. Okay, and of course, the keywords here, it depends. Methods to improve performance, it depends on your goal, what you want to achieve. Okay, so I can give you a simple, this is called a balanced scorecard. So a balanced scorecard, they measure performance. Okay, and like, for example, customers, okay, to achieve our vision, the pink color, okay, how should we appear to our customers? Objective, measures, targets, initiative. So they have specifically put so that you can measure, okay, based on qualitative, quantitative studies, correct? Okay, now financial, to succeed financially, how should we appear to our shareholders? Objective, measure, targets, initiative. You can put anything to measure, okay? And I do believe Faiz did mention ACIES, ACIES, this company. Okay, definitely gonna help you. If I have a company who can solve my problem, okay, with a very reasonable rates, Faiz, keyword reasonable rates, Faiz, okay? I definitely go to the company, right? I don't need to create certain things. I just give advice. This is what I want. You know, they can assist me on this. So basically, that's about it from me. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate. Jangan malu-malu tanya. Thank you so much, guys.
I'm opening the floor to ask question to Yani. If anybody have question, you can just raise your hand and or just voice out your questions.
So I'm performed well, Faiz. Nobody asked me.
Yeah, I think
Thank you
everybody
so much.
understood what you presented.
Okay. All right.
Okay, everybody, our next speaker is a visionary scientist and entrepreneur. He is an otaku, somebody who is a fan of manga and anime in a very passionate way. He lives by the One Piece mantra, which never give up on your dreams. He is very passionate about high impact innovation, entrepreneurship, where he coordinates multiple disciplinary R&D to produce disruptive projects. He is a CEO and co-founder of IX Lab. He will be presenting today the topic of the performance formula. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Khairul Azman to present his topic.
Hi everyone, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to my nakama, Bro Faiz. I call all my friend nakama. So we breathe and live the same inspiration. We have the same spirit and brotherhood. So let me share you my screen. I need to do some adjustment here. Faiz, I'm having some technical difficulty because I just upgrading my software. So maybe is there anything?
I think you can share your file. Yeah, you can share your file.
Okay, where should I send it?
Azman, since you're having problem, I think I'll skip you first. We'll go to the next. We'll go to the next speaker, and then once it's finished, we will come back to you.
That would be great. Thanks very much, Faiz. I'm sorry for the technical issues, guys.
All right. Okay. Our next speaker will be presenting Raising Your Standards. Basically, he's a chartered accountant. He believes that everyone is able to lead, coach, and inspire others once they have the knowledge and tools to lead, and makes a commitment to actually making a real difference to the world. He spent some years in corporate at a number of large multinational, including Petronas, ExxonMobil, HSBC Investment Banking, but his passion has always been in connecting with people and dreamt of being entrepreneur. He was one of the top 12 contestants in the famous business reality TV-based program Apprentice Asia, hosted by Tony Fernandez. Currently, he is the founder and CEO of Precession Capital Berhad, an investment holding company focusing in business education and incubation investment industry. Let's welcome Mr. Nash Idrus to present his topic, Raising Your Standards.
Okay, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me just put this up on screen. Okay. Alright, everybody can see this? Boleh? So I've got a hang on. Okay. Are you seeing full screen? Okay, never mind.
Not yet.
Kejap. Sorry. Just I did it wrongly. Share screen. Share. Okay, better this way. Okay, share screen. Okay, is everybody seeing this?
Nope.
Belum ya?
I think
This?
all Mac user. Okay, yes.
No? Okay, good.
Yeah. I think this is a presenter view.
Okay, sorry. I share screen again. Present. Share screen. Okay, now?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So I've got 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes maximum. But first of all, saya nak cakap terima kasih and thank you for inviting me here today, this morning. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you for being here. Congratulations for being here pada pagi Sabtu ni bersama-sama. Although we dalam masa kita hujung minggu, tapi kita mengambil masa untuk belajar dan mengetahui dan mengamati konten kita pada hari ini. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially to the organisers for this event, for inviting me. I'm very saya sangat-sangat berbesar hati. I'm very privileged to be around all of you here today, this morning. So I have a question for everybody. How many of you here would like to make a lot more money? Berapa ramai nak buat lebih banyak kekayaan? Yes? Raise your hand. So, thank you. I can see the raise hand function kat situ. Raise your hand. Thank you. Great. Thank you Faiz, Farid and Faiz. Okay, great. And I have another question. How many of you would like to create more happiness? Berapa ramai lagi nak kat sini mahu kebahagiaan? Yes? Raise your hand. Thank you. That's the way. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for raising. Good job. So the time is now, and you're at the right place. So for me, it is now, and you're at the right place. And with that, I want to say the content that I want to share is a bit different. I want to talk about raising our standards today. So, what does it mean to raise your standards? It means to look at things not just qualitatively, so quantitatively, but also qualitatively. So, before I go to the content, let me just quickly share with you who I am. I think tadi Ayani mentioned my name. Dia cakap that Nash was in the TV commercials, really look good those days. Yes, those were the days. I actually went from when I was in Australia, I come back from Melbourne to Australia. Setiap kali saya balik, there's always gonna be an advertisement. I always get invited into creating an advertisement. I remember one of the advertisements was Maxis, and that was the top of the Maxis days, and they asked me to also go into berlakon, and I thought, okay, why not, you know? So anything that can make money while I was studying, why not? I can do that, right? But anyway, fast forward, I never wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to do something on my own. And in year 2012, I joined this program called Apprentice Asia, and Tony Fernandez was the host. Unfortunately, I got fired. But I learned this particular context yang kita nak ceritakan sebentar lagi, raise your standards, especially also because being in the boardroom, and the way that the many things to talk about performance is about, to him he says, about raising your standards. We have to raise the bar, we got to bring it up, so level it up. So today I'll be sharing a little bit piece of this, because from what my personal experience journey dengan beliau, and also with everybody else, in fact in the past world that I have, and I learned this, bila saya mengetahui benda ni, this turned my life around. So I'm going to share this with all of you. So now we're going to talk about keys to having more, and for me the topic of peak of a performance is all very much into the emotional intelligence. So seperti saya kata tadi, I'm not going to talk about quantitative, I'm talking about the quality, the emotional EQ of ourselves. So emotional intelligence works around self-awareness, about empathy, about motivation, about self-regulation and social skills. So peak performance bagi saya pada hari ini, perkongsian saya is bermula daripada kepala, kepada hati, kepada tangan. Or if we start from here, head, heart, hands. Can somebody type there? Head, heart, hands. So you come, peak performance for me, it's about these three pieces coming together as one. Okay? So let me share a little bit of a content tentang what and who are the people who we've been through, and from our perspective in Precession, we work with entrepreneurs, usahawan yang want to build their business. They want to build their business and they want to actually go to the next level. Now, creating the next level of it requires peak performance. So who are these people? So, and we are very, very lucky, and we are very, very privileged to be working dengan orang-orang entrepreneur yang begini. And I'll show you who they are. So first of all, this is MDC Asia. So MDC Asia is in healthcare industry. Mereka terdiri daripada Dr. Aslam Bacho, Dr. Zifitri, and also now they have their CFO right now. So a little bit about them is, this is the signing ceremony. Mereka acquire a hospital bernama Hospital Pusrawi di Kota Damansara. So what's interesting about MDC is they have they follow the mechanics, they follow the ideology and methodology and they build this business, and now their valuation is 80 million ringgit, and they're going for the next valuation of 130 million ringgit. So this for me my experience of this person is at his peak of performance and keep raising his standards. So the next person persona and also leader that I say leads the team that's powerful is this group of people led by this lady by the name of Erna Yanino. Now this team, the company is called Billion and their product is called Fastantics. This photo is fresh. Just got this photo just now. They are out there. They are creating peak performance right now with their team. So I said, could you send some photos? And this is them. This is the management team of Billion and with the rest of their top leaders. So they create this, and I see them, and I'm gonna tell you this content hari ini really shows who they are berdasarkan apa yang saya kongsikan sebentar lagi. So they are at the peak of their performance, and because they understand the concept yang saya akan ceritakan kepada anda. Now the next group of people is also led by a lady. This lady, her name is Dr. Z or Wan Sazrina yang berada di Kelantan, and Dr. Wan Sazrina has a pharmacy in Kelantan, and the pharmacy in Kelantan because what she aspires, dia cakap what I would love to do, what I would like to create is a chain of pharmacies yang akan serve the B40s. They will serve the B40s of the community di Pantai Timur. So daripada 2 pharmacy, and now they're creating their next 6, and including this distribution center. So this is them, and this is their team. So these 3 example yang saya tunjukkan kepada tuan-tuan puan-puan sekalian brings us to what I am sharing here today about peak performance and raising your standards. So what does it mean to raise your standard? So here's what I like to show to and share with you, all of you here. Okay, so raising your standards. This one is, I call it the line, the red line, and the line is where we live on. Some other, we are above the line or we are below the line. So we have to make a choice. Kita perlu mengambil satu keputusan untuk consider where is our lives right now, which part of it that we're living on. So here's what I believe, that if you go below the red line, it's a very thin line by the way, and I say this is when I mentioned tadi that is about emotional, how we are emotionally, and as sebagai seorang usahawan, we have to understand that people do this, and it's easier to be below the line, and that's the first type of people that are below the line adalah mereka yang always lay blame, meaning they always blame that orang lain yang bersalah, that this is all done by others for this particular situation, that person or that company or that situation or that regulation. That's the blaming piece. Okay, so orang lain yang bersalah. So this is the first piece that will not help you in raising your standards. So when I first, as I said just now, when I first learned this, and then when I really put this into my head and heart and hands, and then I pass it down to whole team, and everybody understands this structure, and everybody elevates. So this is why I feel this is very, very important. That's the first type of person, lay blame, orang lain yang bersalah. The second type of person that, or definitely not all you here, because you are not this type, but this is why I'm sharing this with you, because this is the information yang perlu diberikan, just share to the whole team. The second type of person is called justify, always justifying. What does justify means? Justify is untuk beri alasan bila sesuatu yang berlaku. So sesuatu yang berlaku ada saja alasan. Now let me ask you this question. How many of you have done this before in your life? Okay, how many of you have done this in your life to justify? All right, that includes me. So have you ever justified? Yes, yes. Can you type in there? All right. Have you ever lay blame? Now, if you lay blame, there's no right. It's okay to say this, to accept, right? But here's where I say is a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people also do some work on justifying this. All right. The next piece that the person that we met, that I see and I know that we cannot work with, is people who always quit. Why? So quitting is when they have something and they do not want to move forward. Now this is very important. Berhenti kerana tak mahu berdepan dengan sesuatu atau seseorang. I'm telling everybody here a little bit story of how we started. We did not start. No, Precession Capital prior to this was also known as Hermetic. Okay, so it was known as Hermetic Capital, and it was not my creation. It was created by somebody else. Can you imagine how crazy it was? Because that particular creator, the creation of our business was based on someone's idea when I came on board to join this journey. But when a few of the people left, mereka meninggalkan this business, and they said, Nash, you gotta take over this. Now there was only two choices I could make. It says sama ada I continue or I quit. Sama ada I continue or I quit. So I said, okay, well, I am a winner. I will not quit. I'm a winner. I will not quit, because quitters never win and winners never quit, right? Because winners never quit and quitters never win. So I said, okay, I will do this. I will continue. And I remember Dr. Wong says, I think if you can continue, you should continue this and just bring this forward. And I believe in this particular piece. So I believe, because that's how I am built. So if I create something, I go 100%, and then I will never ever quit. So here's where the entrepreneurs will also experience this. Now, kita nampak macam senang. Everything that we do looks easy, but just now it's simple but not easy. You akan berdepan dengan benda ni, macam Dr. Wong always say, it's simple but it's not easy. So are you going to quit? Are you going to leave the whole ship behind? Are you going to just say, I'm not going to berdepan dengan orang, so I'm just going to quit? So that's what, be careful with these kind of people. So here's the thing. The next piece that I like to share, that people who will never ever hit peak performance, is people who are in denial. Okay, and denial is not the river near Egypt. You guys get that? Okay, so denial is tidak mengambil prihatin tentang kewujudan sesuatu, not taking on board things that are in front of our eyes, that it is happening right now. So digitalization, for example, a lot of companies won't take this up, still not taking it up. I still see restaurants say, no, we're not going to do that. How come? So denial is extremely dangerous, because instead of being denial, then you have to understand, and that means this person is living in a bubble, satu bulatan ataupun satu bubble, where they don't want to go out to find out information, dan don't want to accept new information. So what does that mean then? So what does it mean? So these four things, empat perkara ini really hit me hard. Now I understand, because if I'm saying I am as a human being, and I believe in this, and I see this. Bila kita bertemu dengan para usahawan, I sense this first, I will smell this first, I will look at this first, and then I will look whether they do this. Number one, they blame. Apa perkataan yang keluar daripada mulut mereka? Adakah they do always justify? Do they quit, or do they believe in denial or live in denial? So, however, what is great, tuan-tuan dan puan sekalian, is that I see that our people that we met, the ones that I showed, tadi saya sempat tunjuk 3 saja, sebenarnya I was actually also updating some of the people that I feel live with peak performance, and they come from being not below the line, but they come from above the line. Okay, so they come from above the line. So I have a question to semua orang kat sini. Now, how many of you think that if you come from lay blame, justify, quit and denial, you can create results? Yes or no? Can you, if you below the line, can you create results? Can you hit peak performance? Yes or no? No. Yes, thank you, Faiz. You cannot. If you below the line, you cannot create results. You cannot create peak performance. So what we need to do is we need to raise our standards. Raise your standards to go above the line. So what's this one particular word that should come up when I say above the line? Okay, what's the word? Anybody can type here. Apakah perkataan that should represent that thing called above the line? So I'm gonna give it to everybody. I think semua orang dah tahu jawapan ni because you've seen this before. It's a review of what we learned in the past, right? Farid, thank you. Take action. Thank you. Okay. All right. Beyond expectations. What's the word that represents that one word that's gonna make you raise your standard? Okay. All right, accountability. All right. Anybody else? Come on, let's play. Let's play. Dia punya belakang dah betul. Why tu dah I mean, yes, you can come from there lah. Sure. Professional, Ishamuddin. Very good. Very good. Yes. Above the line is being professional, but not what I'm looking for. Openness to experience. Very good. Yes. To be above the line, we must be open to experience. Yes, but what I'm looking for. Henrik Liao, be positive. Yes, you got to be positive. Be positive. To be above the line must be positive. Cannot blame, but not what I'm looking for. Scalable. Scalable. Yes. Okay, good answer, but not what I'm looking for. Wise. Muhammad Khairul says, you got to be wise. You got to have some wisdom. Yes, not what I'm looking for. Desire. Ayani says desire. Yes, Mau. I want it. I want it. Teddy says appreciation. L says passionate. Tamidi says ownership. Tamidi, you know this answer already. We always do this. Grit. Yeah, from grit to great. You gotta have grit. Alright. So, fantastic. Okay, looks like plan and act. Yes. There's only one word, by the way. There's only one word. Okay, Dr. Wong says pass. Okay, so I'm gonna give the answer. And the answer is very, very simple. But this answer is very simple, yet it is heavy on the shoulder, on our shoulder. Because this, not value, but good answer, not determination. Are you guys ready for it? Okay? And this is super, super important. Dr. Wong got it. It's called responsible. Responsible. Being responsible. Now, here is where everything is crazy, because the word itself, kalau kita associate with heaviness, then we're not gonna be above the line. Responsible is where, if you think about it, who is responsible? And it's heavy. Who's responsible? Not just for, you have to think about if something happens, if you are crossing the road, right? Think about this, if you are crossing the road and then suddenly you see a young kid naik bicycle, and then he was on bike, and then it was a traffic light, and then suddenly a car comes and then ram the kid. Who's responsible for that? You see that kid for about 10 seconds, you look at him and you see his green light, whatever. Who's responsible for that accident? I'm not gonna say this is gory, but I'm just gonna say, who's responsible for that accident? It's heavy. Who's responsible? If you spending some time with him, you know, at the traffic light, and suddenly he just goes off, who's responsible? Right? It's heavy to say, but I would say to this: if you berani to say I'm responsible for that, and I'm responsible for every single thing, if you can say I'm responsible for every single thing that happens in my life, in and around me, and then that's when we're gonna hit a higher level of standards. You guys understand what I'm saying here? So the other day when I was in the car and I saw this guy eating in the truck, right? And then suddenly I nampak plastic come out from the truck, and I just went next to him, said, could you not do that? Could you pick up that trash again? You know, why? Because for me, I'm coming from being responsible for the environment, because I am responsible. And if we come from that, and we come from being responsible for everything, type this out. Adakah anda berani untuk berkata, I am responsible for everything? If you, yeah, okay, still, a little kid stole some money from his friend in school. Who is wrong and who is responsible? Okay, can anybody answer that? A little kid stole some money from his friend in school. Who is wrong and who is responsible? Right? Yeah, think about that, ladies and gentlemen, tuan-tuan dan puan sekalian. If we can come from I am responsible for everything, our lives will change. Our lives will change. And I tell you, because this is not a theory, this is what I live my life by. And every time kita berjumpa dengan seorang usahawan, we look and we see whether we can work with this person who comes from being responsible and accountable, and everything that you mentioned just now comes from that thing. But this one particular word, and this is why this is the first thing. Yes, so this is the first thing that when there's an onboarding, this is everything that we show with our team. That if you want to be in our team, you got to understand that you have to be above the line. Be above the line. Everybody type there. Be above the line. So I'm responsible for everything in my life. Every single thing in my life, I'm responsible. Okay. So this particular visual is where I come and say, hey, you can make a choice. You can come from being a victim. Maknanya saya lah bersalah. Not even that. Blaming is also blaming self, and blaming self doesn't work. Okay, blaming others and blaming self is called shaming. The other side of blaming self, blaming others, is shaming self. That doesn't work. Look at this visual. This visual is a person like he's victim, like he feels shamed because he failed. Okay, so blaming is also shaming. Now, where we want to come from, we want to be coming from victor. We want to coming from this person. Look at that person putting his hand up in the air, like in peak performance. Peak. That's where we're gonna come from. Okay. So my last words to everybody here is to raise your standards. If we want to create more money and want to create more happiness, then we got to raise our standards. So I finished this here today, this morning, and as I said, this is for me the ultimate test in peak performance. If you want to create peak performance, is to raise your standards and to be above the line. Okay, so itu saja daripada saya. I hope everybody got some benefit ataupun manfaat masa kita bersama pada pagi ini. Thank you very much, Faiz.
Thank you, Nash. That was a great presentation. Now I'm opening the floor for question to Nash. Anybody want to ask any question to Nash? All right, please.
I got question.
Yes, please.
Okay, hi, and assalamualaikum everybody.
Waalaikumsalam.
Hello?
Salam.
Yes,
Waalaikumsalam.
go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the organizer and in organizing this beautiful talk today, and I got a lot of benefit from it. Okay, my name is Sufil. I'm from Puncak Alam. I'm currently building myself a company, business. So, but I'm facing a lot of obstacles in myself lately. For these past 4 years, 5 years, 6 years of my time, I keep blaming on myself. I keep blaming on others and everything. So after hearing from Nash, is actually I got something lah. But my question is for Mr. Nash, since you have some experience in becoming a celebrity previously, so I want to ask on how you handle negativity. Like Hollywood celebrity or US entrepreneur, sometimes they can turn their negative into positive. Like example, like Robert Downey Jr. previously, he on drugs addict, everything. So he can become Iron Man after that. So in US, this kind of people like Subway, kan? Subway previously pun they have a negative issue previously on the CEO, everything on the so they have their negativity, but they can be success on that. So my question is how to handle this negativity and how to get out from it. So I because like me myself, it's hard for me to get out from my past experience, my reputation, everything. So I want to, it's hard to get out from it, and I want to ask how you handle that and how you can get out from it. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sufil. Thank you, Sufil. But while what we say and what we show is kita tunjuk dekat in our social media kan, kita tunjuk gambar tu gambar ni and we share that and this. We all have a reason why we do that. Come on, we all have a reason, right? There's a reason why we write something and we post something. It's to create a reaction. Okay, so for me it's always coming from this is I'm not gonna talk about negative issues. I stay away from negative issues. Okay, because once I understood this piece, tuan-tuan dan puan sekalian, that if I come from blame, complain, blaming and shaming and not agreeing, I am gonna live below the line. So that's first. So wherever I post something, that's because okay, I'm responsible for this post, betul tak? I'm responsible for what I show to people, and I know I did it consciously. Bukan orang lain buat. No, but here's the thing. Ada orang akan give some negative feedback for whatever reason. They can always give negative feedback, right? So they will always do that. Now here's a problem. Now if you give energy, what you focus on expands. Okay, what you focus on will meletup. If you focus on ambil kanta besar tu, lepas tu you focus the kanta besar and you letak matahari, belajar ni masa sains, dia akan terbakar, right? So the more we focus on that, the more it expands. So my personal area, I was sometimes I post and then people say, alah kau ni cini. Sometimes I post, people say like that, right? And then the good thing is my wife and I come from the same mantra, which is stay above the line. So sometimes I yang jadi sangat mengamuk when people say something, but then she reminds me, do we want to spend energy on this? Maukah kita spend so much energy on a negative thing? And I can assure you, Dr. Wong will say the same thing. He always tells me as well, do we want to spend this kind of energy here? Because the energy is not, kita ni bukan ada seluruh energy. And once we focus on the next energy, which is negative, wow, it's dangerous. Dia akan masukkan spiral and it's gonna bring you down. So I'm telling you, Sufil, every day ada bad news, ada good news. When the bad news comes, you say, okay, I understand, let's move on. Tak percaya, you you asked everybody to ask Dr. Wong as well. He was like, okay, understand. Okay, let's move on. What's next? What's next? So remember this. Do you answer this question? Do you want to spend energy on this? You have to make a choice. If you are going to spend, then you go down that drain together with the energy, and that's dangerous. If you move straight away, say shift, let's create something great. You have to create something great, and then you focus the energy somewhere else. So Sufail, itu saya punya tip that make sure you remember. What you focus on expands. Focus on the greatness. Okay? Alright, thank you.
Okay,
Very
thank
good
you.
question,
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Nash? All right. Thank you, Nash.
Baik, yang Faiz.
Now we will go back to Khairul Azman. Azman, are you ready? I hope your difficulties is, your technical problem already.
Yes, I'm ready. In fact, I feel blessed with this some technical because I can see how Nash is doing, and Nash already is raising the bar so high. So let's see what we can have today from me, from XLab. Right, let me do the screen sharing. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi, masih pagi lagi. Saya akan membuat presentasi saya sepenuhnya dalam bahasa Melayu, kadang-kadang ada bahasa Inggeris. Terima kasih pertama sekali kepada semua sahabat atas masalah teknikal sebentar tadi, dan juga Faiz Hamzah terutamanya sebagai chairman. Marvelous job. Dan hari ini saya nak share berkaitan XLab. Kami Innovation Exchange Laboratory. Hari ini saya tak akan bahaskan banyak tentang XLab sebab akan ada sesi kemudian untuk XLab. Cuma sedikit berkaitan kami adalah satu venture studio dan tech reactor. Dan most importantly bagi saya adalah aspirational pirate. So tajuk aspirational pirate adalah satu tajuk yang besar dan pun kita tak akan bincangkan hari ini. Tapi sedikit menyentuh tentang aspirasi, nanti kita akan bincangkan. Baik, inilah saya, Khairul Azman, di Catalyst. Saya adalah CEO dan co-founder XLab, dan juga saya mengenali saya sebagai aspirational pirate. Dan kenapa saya di Catalyst? Because semua orang perlukan sesuatu untuk, kadang-kadang tu kita dah ada semangat, kita dah ada semuanya, tapi kita tak ada satu spark yang mempercepatkan sesuatu proses tu. Jadi saya di sini suka untuk menjadi di Catalyst, dan XLab adalah ship saya, adalah kapal saya di mana saya berlayar dan juga dengan nakama-nakama kami, dan juga berusaha untuk bantu membangunkan kami sendiri. Dan pada hari ini saya akan sharekan bagaimanakah membangunkan beberapa portfolio yang kompleks yang sebenarnya personally bagi saya, memang saya tidak boleh buat dengan sendiri, tapi berkat usaha sekumpulan pirates yang tidak mengenal waktu bekerja dan juga tidak mengenal yang sentiasa above the line. Whenever you already bought the ship, we are not talking anything below the line anymore. Macam yang kita bincangkan tadi, there is not such thing as an issue. You are below the line, you're out of the ship. So this is the kind of attitude that every pirates are on the ship when we are talking about being with XLab. So this is our portfolios under our management. We have Sky Technologies now is in pre-IPO doing a fundraising, and also we have Baton Green Berhad is also on its way on the fundraising way, doing a pre-IPO companies, and we have 3 others startup companies that are now in term of incubations and the process of setting up their companies to become a pre-IPO company. So for these particular projects, let's say I give the example of Sky Technologies focusing on aerospace, and Curator are focusing on the drones for with the concept of National Drone Initiative. These two are a very what we call heavyweight industries focusing on aerospace. We are talking about PE ratio about 200 something, and also Baton Green. This is a scientific solution for the plastics for the what we call the petrol-based plastic. Better green come with a scientific solution to solve the plastic issues, which whereas kalau plastik kita tu bila masuk ke dalam laut yang ada sekarang petrol-based, masuk dalam laut akan membunuh ikan, akan menyebabkan kematian yang kemusnahan yang teruk dalam dasar laut kan. Teknologi better green akan menyebabkan plastik itu menjadi makanan kepada ikan. And it beautiful. Tidakkah kita mahu mempertaruhkan nyawa kita, menghabiskan tenaga dan usaha kita untuk berjuang pada sesuatu yang seperti ini. Dan juga PharmaX. PharmaX adalah satu metodologi di mana kita gunakan untuk membangunkan program kesihatan untuk rakyat Malaysia yang kita rasakan lebih baik dan berkualiti. Sekarang ni kalau untuk pengetahuan kita semua, kita menggunakan ubat-ubatan yang bukan untuk orang Asia. Kita makan ubat daripada luar negara, Panadol dan sebagainya. Itu sebenarnya produk yang dibina oleh untuk orang-orang Caucasian, untuk orang berkulit putih, bukan untuk orang Asia seperti kita. Dan Angkasa Tani adalah satu major project untuk coordinate projek-projek berdasarkan agro, indoor farming, future farming dan sebagainya. Baik. Aspirasi kami adalah untuk membangunkan satu alternate future. Apa saja yang kita rasa tak puas hati, apa saja yang kita rasa sepatutnya kita boleh buat benda ni dengan lebih baik. But kenapa kita having this kind of things right now? Jadi kami mengambil langkah, IX Lab mengambil langkah untuk menyelesaikannya, bukan untuk complain, bukan untuk join other method organisation yang tidak dapat membentuk satu formidable entity yang hanya mungkin kita boleh tulis surat khabar, mungkin kita boleh cakap, mungkin kita boleh buat channel yang bagus, but instead of doing that, we are doing everything. We still do all these activities and we also do something that is really formidable that can give results. So, apakah yang menyebabkan kami mampu membangunkan heavyweight industry ini yang sebenarnya mungkin akan makan masa bertahun-tahun untuk dibangunkan oleh even sebuah negara. Bukan untuk diklaim kenapa ASN ni handal sangat, pandai sangat, tak. Tapi disebabkan kita mempunyai satu formula yang kita derive daripada simple mathematical formula, iaitu graph paradox 1/x, yang mana sekiranya kita memanfaatkan kaedah matematik ini atau saintifik ini dengan betul, kita akan mendapat satu hasil yang baik. Okey, di sini saya ingin mengkongsikan faktor yang utama yang satu constant. Satu constant ini adalah apa yang kita bincangkan sepanjang masa ini. Iaitu kita adalah berada dalam satu keadaan yang sentiasa okey. Bagi kami, this is satu persamaan yang dalam masa yang sama embedded into our way of thinking, into our subconscious mind. Maknanya you are at the level that you are always okay regardless of whatever happens, you are always okay. Tapi sebenarnya ada content di dalam persamaan ini, iaitu keadaan okey kita sentiasa defined by T. Baik, kita akan bincangkan perkara lain seperti ini, tapi untuk kali ini kita akan bincang tentang aspirational clarity, which is the constant one. Kenapa saya kata aspirational clarity perlu satu, dan kenapa dia I-O, I dan O? Sebenarnya setiap apa yang dilakukan, kita perlu ada clarity. Kalau maksudnya bila kita tanya seseorang usahawan ataupun sesuatu red dot tu, you nak buat apa? What is your aspiration? Dia boleh jawab, this is my aspiration. So one time tembak terus dia boleh jawab tepat kesasaran. And then whatever things comes, he know how to handle things. Dan blame, denial, excuses tak akan datang ke kita. Once you go through that route, tak okey projek ni tak boleh dijalankan, and you cannot be on the ship. So this is how the I am okay works. Dan satu, kalau dia ada lebih daripada satu di atas, dia tidak akan performance tidak akan berlaku. So kita akan bincang lagi perkara berkenaan I am okay. Ada di antara kita yang telah pun tahu, saya ringkaskan. I for initiator, maksudnya seseorang red dot tu dia mesti bersifat initiator. Dia tidak boleh kena pakai pasal dengan penukul. Cakap kena follow up tiap-tiap minggu, you dah hantar ni ke belum, you dah buat ni ke belum. No, we want the red dot to chase us. Bro, I want to know this. Bro, I want to, please tell me how to do this. When are we going to, it is the initiator mindset. The I was for the initiator, it is for the initiator mindset. And the operative is for the The operative is for the CXO. This is a team that going to run the show. So M is for money, in our term is a capital, and K is the knowledge or the technology that you possess or the technology that you're developing. We don't care as long as you have the I attitude. Everything can be arranged. So T is the for time frame. So we'll discuss later what the time frame is for. It can be for anything. It can be weekly, it can be monthly, it can be yearly, as long as for that particular time you are having a very positive way of doing things. You have a very positive thinking, methodology of doing works. It's always the time frame yang manfaat. Baik. Seterusnya performance formulas. Baik, I of M adalah capital mechanism part sebenarnya yang telah kami simplifikan. Persamaan ini telah kami formulate sejak tahun 2015 dan dilengkapkan pada tahun 2017 apabila pertama kali kami berjumpa dengan MOC dan juga Dr. Wong dan juga nakama kami Khairul Ikram yang telah banyak mentor kami dalam membangunkan projek ini dan membangunkan kita punya syllabus. Capital mechanism part, biasanya kita tengok kan mentality ini bukan semua, majority ada yang okey sangat, tapi kebiasaannya sepanjang pengalaman kami berurusan dengan usahawan, dia ada satu klise ni. Tak apa, kalau duit ada semua settle. Okey. Sebenarnya kedudukan duit ni dia bukan ada kat tempat yang bila dia ada semua settle. Tempat kedudukan duit ni dia hanyalah parts of the equation. You know, dia tidak boleh menyelesaikan masalah sekiranya anda tidak dapat menyelesaikan masalah di sama ada market mechanism ataupun masalah DI. Jadi sekiranya duit yang dah masuk tu banyak kat kita, tapi I having the issues. Dan juga contoh, kalau I having the issues, saya yakin maknanya initiator tu ada isu. Saya lah, kalau saya kan tadi kita cakap pasal being responsible, kalau saya ada masalah, the rest of the team, the O parts adalah your operational parts. Your team lah, UCXO and all guy yang run the show. Walaupun you ada teknologi yang canggih, walaupun kita ada sistem yang bagus ataupun idea yang bernas, masa untuk kita exit akan tidak dapat mengikut masa yang kita tetapkan. So bagi kami adalah this is the most important part to define key performance indicator. Tak ada benda yang lebih hebat lagi nak define sesuatu melainkan kita definekan terhadap masa. Maksudnya you mesti hantar by this week, you mesti hantar by besok, you mesti hantar by 3 o'clock, you mesti what your exit kan, apa kita nak jual ni masa bila. So this is the definition for IX Lab when we are talking about performance formula. If you find out that you are having issues with negative thoughts, technically you are out of the game. You are not under IX Lab. That's why we choose not to choose most that come to us, because most of the time the entrepreneur need to prove that they are fit into this equation. So T is the time frame for IPO. For us, having the time frame for IPO is the most important thing because we are the venture studios and we are also the tech reactor. More or less like a VC. We are functioning more or less like a VC. We have this FRM. We have this financial roadmap. This is the ultimate KPI for us. This is the one thing that set above everything yang akan menyebabkan semua pasukan bekerja pada satu tempoh masa dan sentiasa perlu berfikiran positif. Maksudnya sentiasa di atas, sentiasa pada maximum capacity. Jadi time frame for IPO adalah sangat powerful. Kalau kita tak kawal your initial time dan your final time, your exit time, kita tidak akan apa yang boleh dikatakan apa yang kita lakukan sia-sia lah. Maksudnya regardless of sama ada 1 projek atau 10 projek, kalau you tak ada this mechanism untuk kawal, you tak ada, you know, we try to simplify the methodology supaya benda ni embedded. So you masuk, you tahu, oh aku nak masuk sini, aku nak keluar sini. Dia bukan masa baru nak belajar. Masa kita dah masuk dalam IX Lab, kalau you belum belajar, you have to be ready to be teachable. Sentiasa bersedia untuk diajar, untuk belajar dan untuk apply secepat mungkin. Jangan terperanjat, memang ada individu yang begitu bermotivasi dan kadang-kadang buat benda yang kita belum ajar lagi dia dah buat. Itu yang best sebab kita kebiasaannya entrepreneur bila dia bermotivasi dia akan buat kerja dan kadang-kadang dia langgar dinding dan sebagainya. That's where the process happen. That's where the mentorship happen. That's where the growth happen, not only to the entrepreneur, to ourselves as well. We grow together as a, as a nakama. So saya bagi contoh, this is a 5 years financial roadmap untuk Batam Green yang saya cerita tadi. So tengok kita punya fundraising sedang pun berjalan starting bulan 10 ni. So kita dalam seeding round, kita tengah fundraise lebih kurang 10 juta. Bukan lebih kurang, memang 10 juta dengan valuation 100 juta. Okay, saya nak fast forward. This is the initial. Whenever you have the financial roadmap, you need to do whatever it takes to hit it. This is the KPI. This is the peak performance of any startups or any pre-IPO company. If you fail to do this, just don't do this project because it will be very tiring. Satu, dia akan memenatkan. It will exhaust your everything. So kalau you tak nak buat, kita jangan buat daripada mula. So kalau kita nak buat, we have to give whatever it takes. So this is the mindset that we have in the let's say one of our portfolio. Okay, if you see here, the IPO is in 2035. We planned it for 5 years time. Saya tak nafikan pandemik ni telah banyak hampered so much project because kita tak boleh pergi site, kita tak boleh masuk lab, kita tak boleh buat so much things, dan alhamdulillah baru-baru ni kita pun dah dapat lifted kita punya so much issues, dan lockdown telah pun diangkat kan. Jadi insyaAllah kita akan mulakan dengan sepenuh daya. So the IPO kita target dekat 1.5 billion, kita nak raise 1.5 billion and valuation at 6 billion. So technically this is the what Batam Green is doing. You can see how we are going to navigate all this throughout the years. So the second portfolio that I want to share is Sky Technologies. This is the FRM ataupun financial roadmap kepada Sky Technologies. So tengok kat situ kita ada 120 bulan. Berapa lama tu 120 bulan? 10 tahun. Kan? Kita breakdown even kalau boleh hari pun saya nak letak. Tapi kan memeningkan kepala sebab banyak lagi nombor kat sini kan. So kita expecting exponential growth at this stage. Whereas you tengok kat 2025 tu, series 3 kita nak fundraise USD 96 million, which will make this company valuation comes close to 960 million, which will make it sikit lagi nak jadi unicorn. That is the best position lah untuk jadi unicorn. So always make this kind of for us, this is the way we craft the performance, the KPI, the key performance indicator for the companies. This is normal for capital mechanism, but for public that we want to share, have a big dreams, do things, break your barriers. Things can be done. For Sky Technologies, we are fundraising throughout internationally, capitalizing on the opportunity that we have now, that we can work with other parts of the world in the same days, which is really amazing. I don't have to go to Canada yesterday, so we have a meeting in Canada. I don't have to go to Japan. We can have a meeting. The technology is, are really amazing. Sekarang adalah masa yang terbaik untuk do what you want to do, because nobody cares. Tak ada siapa peduli apa you nak buat. You tak nak hantar anak you ke sekolah, you nak hantar nak sekolahkan anak di rumah, you nak buat everything, this is time to have a big reset in ourselves. For Sky Technologies, for IX Lab, we are always in this forefront. Okay, kalau kita tengok tadi, Batam Green, dia punya valuation untuk unicorn adalah valuation untuk di IPO. It depends pada red dot yang ingin menjayakan portfolio masing-masing. Sekiranya red dot tersebut rasa dia boleh pergi lagi jauh, lagi 20 lagi, okay, boleh datang kepada kita dan bincangkan macam mana kita nak mencapai valuation lebih baik. Dan juga kita boleh ubah beberapa perkara yang sentiasa persamaan kita tu kan, kita sentiasa boleh ubah. Okay, pilihlah mana satu pilihan kita. What's your dream? Choose your dream and strive for it. You want to be a unicorn, flying high in the sky, ataupun you jadi badak sumbu. Badak sumbu, rhinoceros is good. I love badak sumbu, but in the reality, badak sumbu is sekarang ni sedang mengalami keputusan. They are facing the extinction. So kita cuba in the real life kita nak selamatkan badak sumbu, but on our position, choose your dream, which one you want to be. So the performance formula sebenarnya adalah untuk memudahkan even the most complex industries. Okay. One thing about the performance formula, the performance formulas, sebenarnya perkara ni diamalkan oleh company-company besar. Tapi kita tak dapat baca kan. Personally kami sendiri menemui persamaan ini secara dibangunkan dengan begitu intensif dalam beberapa tahun. So kita tahu sekarang ni sebenarnya T itu adalah position untuk shareholders. Shareholders adalah the entity yang akan govern the whole thing. So walaupun shareholders cuma ada power setahun sekali ketika AGM, tetapi every quarter we need to report to them. All these guys here, the CXO, are going to report to the directors and directors to report shareholders. Ini akan mempengaruhi performance syarikat setelah IPO. Jadi bukan saja sebelum IPO, setelah IPO pun persamaan ini masih lagi berfungsi. Keep in mind that whenever you have a perfect condition, the company tu memang akan pergi, akan fly. InsyaAllah dia akan terbang lah, tinggi. And this is the key performance indicator. Satu perkara berkenaan aspiration clarity tadi kalau kita tengok kan, kenapa orang nak kerja macam ni, gila sangat kan. Duduk kat rumah kan bagus, pergilah ambil job yang senang-senang, ambil job yang susah. Saya ambil contoh yang klise lah, kita ambil Tesla, Nikola Tesla. Bukan Nikola Tesla. Tesla, company Tesla kan, Elon Musk punya company. Kenapa pekerja dia sanggup bekerja dengan begitu teruk sekali kan? Siapa yang baca kisah Elon Musk buku ataupun tengok kat internet ke baca kan? Kenapa dia orang sanggup kerja? Kenapa nak minta kerja beratur? It's like, tak ada tempat lain ke kau nak minta kerja kan? Bukan setakat tu tau. Payment dia masa tu tidaklah best sangat, taklah bagus sangat. Masa Tesla baru naik, keuangan mereka pun tak berapa bagus. Dia memang disokong oleh pekerja dia. Pekerja dia ada yang gaji sikit, gaji lambat dan bonus tak dapat masa mula-mula dulu. Tapi sebab semua orang share the clarity, the aspiration. They love. Simon Sinek kata, kalau you tak dapat buat benda sesuatu perkara tu, you tak boleh paksa you punya employee bersemangat. Unless kalau your aspiration tu very clear, you have the aspirational clarity, and the employee loves the aspiration so much that they work with passion. Don't love tau, kan dia berbeza kan. Dia macam you bayangkan kalau tiap-tiap hari kita dapat pergi macam budak-budak pergi main playground kan, itu benda yang suka, benda yang dia love. So this guy, the employees go to the factory macam nak pergi kat playground. If we can make our workplace, the employee feels like a playground, then you are hitting it, man. Maksudnya most of your problem dah selesai because you have the aspiration, itu memang kita akan buat. So the issue is how to cater the employees, the CXO parts and all other things. The directors are mostly initially most of the red dots akan jadi CXO, and at the end of the day dia akan pass the chasm and goes to the director side. Satu lagi yang ingin saya kongsikan adalah Steve Jobs cakap, agak negatif lah tapi betul, kena sebut juga. Steve Jobs kata buat bisnes ni susah. Betul, buat bisnes susah. Kita tengok Steve Jobs dulu masa muda handsome kan. Sekarang masa dia nak mati tu rambut dia pun dah tak ada. Sebenarnya saya pun dah tak ada rambut juga ni. Tapi bisnes ni kalau kita tak ada passion kan, memang kita tak boleh buat. Sebab ada terlalu banyak sebab untuk kita tinggalkan bisnes tu. Ada terlalu banyak alasan. Macam tak boleh bayar sewa, tak boleh ni, kena pinjam duit orang, kena ligan dengan alung, kena ketuk pintu rumah malam-malam, kena hambat dengan. You tell it, we have so much stories. Sekarang apa yang penting adalah apabila kita dah decide satu aspirasi, kita akan mulakan kita punya pengembaraan, kita akan berlayar dengan semangat yang membara. Tetapi mestilah ada aspirasi dan juga direction yang betul. Baik, kalau anda nak menyertai high performance crew, kan saya memang suka lah watak Luffy dalam bukan watak Luffy, the Straw Hat crews, the way they do the works, the way dia nakama shapes. So bagi saya adalah sangat baik untuk kita baca between the line. Bagi siapa yang belum baca, yang belum pernah nampak lagi One Piece ni, kalau nak tahu, dapatkan sedikit aspirasi, nak tahu inspirasi dia, bolehlah cuba tengok. So insyaAllah the next roundtable will be on November 13. Ini cadangan belum lagi difixkan, tapi kita akan umumkan kemudian. Akan diajarkan oleh IS Lab, so kita akan dive dengan lebih dalam lagi apa yang IS Lab buat. Dan macam mana kita with the performance persamaan performance formula kita akan sama-sama go through lah. InsyaAllah itu sahaja sebenarnya sharing daripada saya. Terima kasih kerana still masih bersama lagi. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan boleh ajukan. Terima kasih. Saya stop sama sharing.
Thank you, Azman. There was a great presentation. Now I'm opening the floor for questions to Azman.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. I'm Mr. Khairul Azman. We are friends in Facebook. Okay. So, so saya nak tanya lah. Saya nampak ada banyak aspiration yang IX Lab tengah buat dengan Sky Technologies, everything tu kan. Lepas tu saya sendiri pun ada aspiration untuk buat something yang macam tu. So saya nak tanya, kalau dekat Malaysia ni kita tengok ni, this I don't know, this is yalah kita satu discussion lah kan. Dekat Malaysia ni kita tengok kalau kita nak buat sesuatu yang a bit different from others, so kita nak buat something yang kata baru, very new in industry. So industri itu pun tak ada lagi. So it's very tough kalau kita tak ada political will and political force. So in that sense, so how macam mana Cik Khairul Azman sendiri dengan team Sky Technologies beraspiration untuk bawa that company, contoh macam space industries, everything ni semua perlukan political force, political will. So kalau tak ada political force, political will, so benda-benda ni takkan boleh jadi. Kita pun yang ada dalam industri pun mati. So macam mana Cik Khairul Azman nampak benda tu lah, dan how kita ni sebagai satu ekosistem usahawan everything semua, macam mana kita nak push this to bring forward for the nation to grow, because there's a lot of things yang saya nampak perlu di grow in the country right now, because our country right now in a resetnya ni kan, reset button. So this is a very good time lah sebenarnya untuk kita reset everything lah. Tapi kalau tak ada political force, political will, then we die. So macam mana pendapat Cik Khairul Azman nampak benda ni?
Baik, sebenarnya terima kasih, soalan yang sangat baik kan. Sebenarnya bukan Sufil seorang saja. Itulah sebenarnya kita punya mind frame, kebanyakan lah orang muda, entrepreneur. If you ask me, that's why saya jadi pirate. Because pirate tak perlukan government, tak perlukan all these other things, all this other stuff. First and foremost, buang dulu semua benda tu. Yang kedua, ada satu kata-kata, siapa saya tak ingat. When the right idea comes, there is no force can stop a good idea when the right idea comes. Sebenarnya apa yang halangan yang berlaku tu, ada yang kita create sendiri, maksudnya kita percaya benda tu satu halangan. Bagi IX Lab, saya tak cakap benda ni mudah. Walaupun saya simplifiedkan persamaan tu tadi, it's never easy. Dan tak ada jalan yang lurus nak mencapai sesuatu goals tu, sesuatu target tu. Cuma dia ada jalan yang betul. As long as you follow the right path, insyaAllah you akan sampai. Jalan yang betul tak ada political will and political semangat dan political support. Itu may come, may not come, but it's not stopping anyone who have, kalau you nak jadi pirate king kan, siapa boleh stop you? You go either the government join you or you left the government. Maksudnya ada je yang pindah negara dan sebagainya. Tak ada siapa yang boleh stop you untuk capai apa yang nak capai. Kalau you perlu pindah mana, Australia ke, dari Singapore macam Grab ke, pindahlah. Okay, sebagai anak Malaysia kita haraplah kerajaan Malaysia ni boleh maju, boleh naik, kita boleh naik baju ke bangsa kita. But sebagai satu entity business, you have to think something else. The way of thinking perlu towards the sake of the business. Kalau kita punya tanah ni tak boleh nak tanam setengah-setengah pokok kan. Jadi tanah kita subur tapi tak boleh tanam kaktus. So kita kena pindah kat negara yang kering yang boleh tanam kaktus. So begitulah. Sekiranya perlu. Tapi bagi saya tiada apa yang boleh menghalang you if you set the things that you can do it. Ada satu kata-kata lagi, the universe will conspire to help you kalau you really being very true to you, whatever you want to do. You akan jumpa nakama, you akan jumpa friend, you akan jumpa, personally bagi saya jumpa Dr. Wong, saya jumpa Khairul Ikram, saya jumpa Nash and all the Joli Rogue pirates. We are pirates, we never care about other things. So we just do what we want to do, we set our KPI, we set our financial roadmap, we go. Jangan fikir banyak sangat. Dan you fikir banyak sangat, there's so many things to do. Macam yang awal tadi saya suka yang Wawan share tadi kan. Anak muda kena ada satu benda, malam-malam you set target. So kita Sky dah set 10 tahun punya target. Better Green dah set 5 tahun punya target. Slab dah set 5 years punya target. So you work on your target. Don't work on other things. Patriotism tu ada politician, army, dia ada tanggungjawab masing-masing. So kita mainkan peranan kita. If you decide you want to be an entrepreneur, ada dia punya responsibilities macam Nash share tadi sebentar tadi. Saya rasa okey menjawab soalan. Terima kasih.
Next question daripada Azdi, tadi dia raise hand.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ini present besar. Okay, saya tak banyak. Dia ada when bila you present tadi, saya ada satu keringat satu quote. The quote pasal pada one guy yang kat dalam BC dia cakap, one of the way nak tengok red dot tu power tak power, sebenarnya adalah dia kata the ringkasan is delusional but with skills. So delusional with skills maksudnya sekarang dia ada satu impian yang besar bapak dan tapi dia ada skills. So it strikes me in the sense that when I saw you present ni sekarang talking about peak performance, tapi cerita pasal you punya actual plans, pasal better, pasal IX Lab, pasal Sky. So it strikes me in the sense that okay, we're having this discussion kemarin kan, cakap when you were having meetings dengan you punya counterparts daripada luar, and lepas orang dengar you present and then orang cakap balik, okay that's it. So I think the idea is crazy enough. Let's present this to the craziest person in the world. Let's present it to Sir Richard Branson himself. Boleh tak tolong komen bagi situ? Terima kasih.
Minta maaf, komen bahagian mana? Boleh spesifik?
Dia gila macam mana tu sampai diorang boleh decide nak panjangkan sampai ke Richard Branson?
Okay, terima kasih. Sebenarnya soalan ni lagi bagus kalau saya jawab dengan pitch deck Sky. But saya nak sharekan apa yang saya share, iaitu berkenaan Sky Technology semasa saya pitch last Saturday night. Apa yang berlaku ialah my friend, he is a power broker. Dia adalah seorang well connected dalam bidang capital di Canada. Kita jumpa di LinkedIn dan we have a good relationship from there, and it grows throughout the time. I think more than 6 months now. Semalam saya ada chance untuk properly lay out all the plan. Bila saya habis present, dia kata this idea is really crazy. It's not easy for any investors to fathom it, but humanity needs to know this. This is the thing that strikes me yang bila kita cakap sebenarnya Sky Technology itu cerita tentang kereta terbang. It's so futuristic, flying vehicles or airborne vehicles. Tahun 2019 kita telah digegarkan dengan sebuah drone yang digelar kereta terbang yang mana telah memusnahkan impian rakyat Malaysia dalam tempoh 1 malam. Sedangkan Sky Technology telah berusaha untuk membangunkan sistem ini daripada tahun 2017. Dan kita bekerja dengan the top guys in the industry, which is Salenia Space dan juga Artec, SPA dan DigiSky. DigiSky adalah pemegang rekod kapal terbang elektrik terlaju di dunia di Eropah, which is di dunia sebab mereka tak ada sistem kapal terbang elektrik. Jadi mereka adalah partner kami yang membangunkan propulsion system, yang membangunkan traffic system. So apa yang kita cuba share, yang saya sampaikan adalah saya kata kereta tanpa sistem jalan raya. Contoh macam di US, di Texas dari tahun 1800 kalau tak silap, mungkin ada yang lebih jelas tentang sejarah ni, saya ada baca itu. Ada 2 biji kereta je kat Texas tu. Mereka jalan dan mereka accident. So, disebabkan tak ada sistem jalan raya, kenapa 2 biji kereta out of nowhere, kawasan yang begitu besar boleh kemalangan? So, kata-kata sebab tak ada traffic system. So, dalam kes flying vehicles, terlalu banyak company yang buat flying vehicles, membangunkan teknologi dan sebagainya, tapi tak ada orang pernah fikir pasal the traffic has to be, uniform as well. So bila dia dengar benda ni dan juga ada new space initiative yang kami sambung daripada usaha-usaha soft, ada beberapa rakyat Malaysia yang begitu gigih membangunkan industri new space seperti saudara Redzuan yang sekarang bertugas di USAS yang juga penasihat kepada Sky Technologies. Dia merasakan yang Sky ni gila. Tu je dia kata that I need to bring you to Richard Branson to talk about this. because obviously Richard Branson pun ada Virgin Galactic, and you are preparing the landing place, the landing, the spaceport, the landing port for them. So I think you two are a good fit. So gitulah sedikit ringkasan daripada perbincangan semalam. Saya agak boleh menjawab soalan nakama saya, Cik Azdi.
Bantu. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih kerana bertanya soalan. Assalamualaikum. Saya kembalikan kepada pengurusi majlis.
Alright. Thank you, Azman. So basically, Azman is in space industry. Dan yeah, dia punya valuation is very high, but that is normal for their industry. Alright, for our next topic is quite interesting. Mr. Farid Ghani will talk about how to measure, predict and enhance performance using scientific approach. So Mr. Farid is a certified trainer with Malaysian HRDF and specializing in human capital performance and strategic branding. His diverse work experience in multinational settings, local SMEs and even startups, which enables him to share his rich experience in talent management and performance. Okay, let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Farid Ghani.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. We've had a very fruitful morning so far. So we had very interesting speeches coming in from various things. I'm just going to actually share some of my experiences in terms of looking at performance, specifically in terms of how we look at forward momentum for organization. Basically, it's about how the aggregate of people sharing the same vision, sharing the same ideas, and moving things forward. And basically, it has to do a lot with performance. So before I go to that, let me just share my slides. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Okay, let me just move this away. Okay, now basically just a little bit about us. We've done a lot of work with companies, over about 200 companies so far, and how it actually became on the forward momentum was that earlier on, I think in the 1990s, year 2000 area, we were looking into a lot of branding of companies. So when we actually look at it, there are some companies where the branding punya strategy itu was successful, but some companies are not successful. So we wanted, why was the difference, right? And a lot of companies, basically when it comes to branding, it means that buying media punya slots, basically changing their logo and whatnot, and then and when they actually launch the branding, nothing really happens. Okay? So when we actually found out, one common theme that we actually found was that the areas of concern was that looking at the people makes the difference, the internal employees. Okay? So the employees where they are motivated and they are clear in terms of where they are heading, basically the brand basically becomes bigger and bigger. But companies with brand which is not so big, basically it boils down that people do not share the aspirations of the leaders. Okay? So we have a look at some of the big companies, the telco companies, some of the media companies. They do a lot of the rebranding exercise, but nothing really happens. So the common things that we actually look, how these things actually really poke up, basically ada dua benda lah. Satu is basically the awareness of people in terms of the market, and the other one is the differentiated services that they actually provide. So the differentiated services, a lot of things has to do with people. So that's how we got into the space of actually measuring people punya performance, right? Looking at whether people are clear in terms of what they're doing, which is quite interesting in terms of what Khairul Azman was just presenting just now, whereby the formula of IM time multiply with OK, and so basically we have almost a similar punya formula which we have already applied to around about 200 companies. So it has actually worked. So what I'm saying here, it's possible to actually measure the clarity of people, their ability, and you multiply that with basically the operative knowledge, or basically we call it the motivation, right? So if you have the right motivation and you can cope through whatever the hardship, basically you get the performance, right? So that's basically the then. Now, I just want to share, if you know this guy, I think some of your people who are basically into football, you know, this is Pep Guardiola, basically. He basically coaches for Manchester City. And if you look at the team, Manchester City, they were nowhere until he took over, right? When he took over, I think it was in 2017. And since then, Manchester City has actually had a team unbeatable in terms of their winning streak, right? So when you actually have that, you wonder what was the difference, kan? What was the difference? So when we actually look at what he was saying about his team, he looks at two things. One is the ability of their players. Secondly is basically whether they have the right team spirit or clarity and knowledge, right? And this thing, which is almost similar dengan what you were mentioning, Khairul, about your formula, which is interesting. So basically, if you boil it down, again, you have got a formula for peak performance, right? And there's few questions I think came from Sufil earlier on about how do you actually look into performance, how do you actually go over the thing. So it has to do with this kind of formula. So I'm going to share a little bit in terms of what we have done and what we have seen and how this can actually apply to almost any industry or any person, so to speak. So we have worked around, as I mentioned, about 200 companies, big and small, and this spread across Southeast Asian region, China, in Australia, as well as in Malaysia, right? So we've been around, and what we have done is basically we have come up with a formula, and that formula is now basically put in a certain algorithm behind it, again. So you have a cognitive punya knowledge in terms of how people perform in any given situation, right? So so basically, once we actually get to know that, it's about strategy. How complex or how simple your strategy is in terms of moving anything, right? Moving anything within the organization or even yourself, right? So basically, it's just a matter of knowledge. Where is your baseline? And how can we create a better you or better performance in terms of your performance? So basically, this is what we actually look at. So when we look at things, one of the things that we were looking at recently, the trend, which is quite shocking in a way, but it's already happening in things in areas like US and UK, and it's coming over in Malaysia, where we actually have got some knowledge about when we interface with our clients. And that thing is basically a great resignation. Now, basically what we find that kira macam a lot of our clients, basically 4 out of 10 people are about to resign from their companies. And why is that? Yeah. So there are a few reasons behind that, because everybody is so used to working remotely, right? And when you actually have a remote working situation, you don't want to go to office back, because you start to reflect, why am I working this hard when I can actually do something else? Yeah. I can be with my family, and I can be having a lot of things happening. I can actually work online. I can also work for other people, and they pay me on a need basis. So basically, there are services that can actually take in gig economy kind of style. So you have all this kind of thing. So what we also find that kira macam basically they don't want to put in the longer hours which is set by the company between 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever it is. They want to work on a flexible manner. So this has happened for quite a while, but they didn't have a solution. So come the pandemic, you had the lower pay part. And then suddenly they go to other things. So there's a few news dalam TV3 berita national apa semua tu, where makcik-makcik yang dulu kerja dekat pasar borong tolong siang ikan ke apa ke semua tu, now they cannot go to work. What they do is they siang ikan, what they know, but they orang shipkan kepada orang, kan? And they are actually earning like 3,000 a week rather than getting a menial fee of what 1,000, 1,200 what they pay wages lah, kan? So now this makcik kata, why do I need to go to work, kan? So that is happening now because of the gig economy which has flourished over the past 2 years, kan? People are actually not wanting to go back to their work. So we find that kira macam our clients, one media agency had almost more than 50% resignation at least for the past 1 month, right? So that's happening now. And secondly is that they don't want to actually go through a bad manager. Now managers basically they akan enforce lah, especially for people in the low grade punya work. Basically these people basically they orang perah betul-betul lah in terms of orang punya kedai. So when you do that basically and people start to reevaluate balik in terms of what they're going back to. If let's say the economy happens, example sekarang ni the endemic phase, kan, people are starting to go to work, and this is where people are actually trying to go away from their previous job. So we anticipate by looking at things that by Q1 of 2022, the economy will jump on a V-shaped economy. So instead of like a smooth U-shaped thing, is going to go high cepat-cepat, right? And it's already happening. If you look at the stock market yesterday, basically it's already touching around about 1,006 punya level. It's just a matter of time. You will straight away jump to 17 tak lama lagi. So this is where the great resignation is coming. Now, for what will happen is that with the great resignation too, we'll find that companies will lose around about 45% of people who used to work. So in this sense, basically company will be kira macam at odds end. As is sekarang ni pun dah ramai dah orang putting up job advertisements basically because a lot of their internal people have moved away, right? The winners will be the ones who actually look at what to do with the people yang they currently have. So basically it's about investing in terms of knowing people punya sentiments, people punya motivation, and then also investing in systems to actually understand how to actually overcome these things. And some of it you find that some of the foreign companies, I know one bank, foreign bank, which is actually encouraging people to work from home rather than come to office, because satu is that, and they actually pay allowances and they pay separate packages to actually create an open office, an office dekat rumah, right? So they don't want people to come over to office, right? Because it's in the middle of KL. Now, what happened was they find that they reduce costs in terms of claims for petrol lah, untuk parking lah, kemudian on top of that electricity, the utilities. So they find it's a lot cheaper to actually get people to actually work remotely. And why they do that is basically they did a survey. They find the sentiment that people do not want to go back to work, right? Like it used to do. So they're actually making a lot of investments in that. How it's going to pan out, I don't know, because this is recently, yeah. So they are making fundamental changes in terms of what is happening, all right? So where do we want to see the trajectory of people working with company? So obviously kita nak keep whatever that we have in terms of the people that work with us, basically creating a high performing team. right? I think for people like IX Lab, apa semua tu, you have a few subsidiaries. The reason that probably Sky was successful because a lot of people who share the crazy ideas basically buy into that one, and they were motivated into that one. So that's why you see that a lot of movement, the forward trajectory is coming in kat situ. And if you take some of the examples previously, you have companies like macam earlier on, the real classic case was KFC. If previously, when companies wanted to actually be formed, they want to sell katakan food product lah, it's always kira macam variety of products. But here KFC comes in with a bold business model just to sell fried chicken and nothing else, right? And yet orang kata benda tu crazy, right? And look at where KFC now, one of the biggest F&B outlet there is. And that is basically, if you look at it, a lot more people actually believe in it, and of course the day they start looking into various strategies. So basically it's about aligning the right people in your team. So similarly dengan Manchester City, where you alignkan people in the right team, then you basically grow your company. Yeah. And we've seen this on our side as well. So I'll share with you some of the case studies that we have. Yeah. So teams and employees which are refitted together and basically share the same aspiration and are motivated, right? Not by money, but motivated because they share the same dream. That is the most powerful, right? Now, the trick is to find who they are and where they are, right? That's the most difficult part, right? So as far as the measurement itu dah senang, kita boleh buat, no problem, right? And there are so many other things that we can do. I'll show you the formula of how we actually look at it, right? When we actually have teams where basically you have the culture of people actually thinking together and really helping and trusting each other, so this is where you see the peak performance comes in, right? And this is not coming from me, basically this is coming from the host of experience that we see in a lot of companies, right? Kemudian lepas tu, if you look at it coming soon, basically the brave new world basically is about people's clarity, right? In doing their job. And basically the most important thing is that if you have enough crazy people to actually think of new business models, right? And you find the right people to actually complement you, not necessarily think the same way you do, but complement you, and trusting that basically you can move together. And basically, and of course, after that, you have to look at feedback, whether this is working or not working. And if it's not working, what do we do about it? Everybody is looking at that, right? So, and it has to be unbiased, and it has to be accurate, and it has to be actionable. You know exactly what to do. So basically, that's the future that we're actually looking at, right? So basically, I'm sharing you some the formula that we have actually used with the companies that we've consulted with. So basically, the performance basically of anybody, of any individual, any team, any organization, any division, or any apa-apa lies down to two things. One is basically your cognitive structure. The cognitive structure basically tells you basically this is your how you think. This is the process of how you think, right? Different people think differently, right? Some people are very analytical. Some people are very open to experience. Some people are very structured. Some people don't know anything but needs artificial structure. So basically, when we actually find out where they are, there are intervention strategies that you can actually put into place to make that person successful, right? So that's the first one, the cognitive structure. Now, second one is the motivation, right? Motivation is difficult to actually measure unless you know that person very well or over a certain period of time. What motivates certain people? Whether they are basically motivated with numbers, analytical punya part, or are they actually motivated with creative punya area, or are they basically structured, they are communicable, they are open to adventure, they are curious in terms of their intelligence. So this is where we need to understand where the motivation. Now, luckily, we can actually measure that as well, right? So that's the two. Now, with cognitive structure and motivation, basically, it's the formula is basically about multiplication. So once you understand the person punya thinking structure, it's just basically motivation is about multiplying those things. The higher the motivation, then the quicker that you actually go, right? So if you have any question, just put it in the chat box. We'll go through later on lah. Kalau ketika macam, and this is something that which is quite scientific lah, right? Okay, all right. So what basically it means is that in cognitive structure, we measure the mind, right? We measure what they are thinking, right? And basically motivation is about the heart, right? So kalau kata if you think about certain thing and your heart is for it, basically you're positive about it, that's where your action comes in. And your action could be two things, either problem focus or emotional focus. I don't want to go into that one. It's a bit, I got very short time. Yeah. So basically, if you multiply the mind and the heart punya matter, then you basically have the secrets. Now, if you actually increase the heart punya part or you increase the mind punya part, different outcomes will come in terms of your performance, right? So basically, that's how we actually look at it, right? Now, so basically, if you look at the cognitive structure, people can actually fall into any of these places. Either you're foggy, you're non-judgmental, which is quite loose lah. Basically, you accept anything apa semua tu. Or you're idea driven, or you can be basically very organized or structured, or you can be analytical, or you can be very focused, or it also means that you can be stressed, right? So that the motivation part is basically these three areas. Basically your problem solving approach, basically your confidence. How confident are you in terms of resolving certain issues, right? And your energy, whether you have the right emotional energy or a negative emotional energy. So some people basically are switch on because when they go to sports, right? Some people are not, right? So that's where your energy is different lah. So people who are basically a bit of a bookworm, something like that. I'm not saying bad things about bookworm, but basically those who are not very inclined towards sports, when they go to a sports punya arena ke atau tengok bola ke apa ke, they don't like it. But some people are basically energized because of that. So basically your energy and drive becomes very high during that time. And also your emotional balance. Basically, is it negative or is it positive, right? About certain things. So all these things now we can measure. Once you can measure this thing, basically it's very easy to understand who is right for your organization, for your team, right? So when we do that with companies, we can actually look, okay, the cognitive structure is like this, like that, and this is basically some of the charts that we actually use. I'm not going to go into so much into this one, but also I was quite taken dengan Nash punya presentation earlier on about emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. So we can also look at the emotional intelligence of a person. Where do they fit, right? So basically, if you look at it, the 5-factor model yang Daniel Goleman buat apa semua tu, we have actually expanded this to around about 6 factor model, and even within the 6 tu kita boleh divide kan. Even into 3, where do they fall in? Okay. So if people are basically open to adventure and basically they are, then you know that you give them certain things, they will flourish, right? So it's easy. So within 20 minutes, within 30 minutes, kita dah tahu dah how to form a team, and we have done that so many times, right? So just to share a little bit of our experience, we actually did about pizza chain, about 6,000 staff. So what happened was with this company is basically they had a stagnant growth, right? Poor and slow execution, weak managers and high staff. So we also look at the brand itself. Why is it that brand is not moving forward again? And we find that because the head operation has got no idea how to run operation, right? And we can see that when we actually did the assessment, we understand, okay, why is this guy supposed to be there? So we know that. At the same time, low empowerment, because everything was basically above only the MD and a few people within the circle saja, the C level saja can make decision. That becomes kira macam a bit of a bottleneck lah, right? So apa ni, when you have a bottleneck, basically it also means that the people bawah ni has not got enough clarity in terms of how to move forward. So when we actually measure that, and sure enough, we find that people are not clear in terms of when they're supposed to do things. That's why they are also demotivated, right? So they also recruit within the industry. Not actually, basically what it says is that they are recruiting the same people, right? When you recruit the same people and you have the same mindset, apa semua tu, it's very difficult for you to expand into other things because you don't see other things punya apa ni value or anything like that. You only know what you know. So that's why they find them. So when we actually did the peak performance punya area and we make certain recommendation, we find that there was growing sales and profit margins, right? We changed the new head of operation, somebody who actually are structured and basically motivated. It's got a lot of clarity and a lot of empowerment and a few other people juga. And we found new talent because we can measure the kind of talent that is required within each division. And basically, they cut also half delivery time. Now, so they are very, very profitable, right? So we also did an accounting services, about 400 staff. So what we find was there was, even at accounting level, orang yang kira macam at the level of the big four apa semua tu, there's weak senior managers, people who are accountants but do not know anything apart from actually running numbers, right? So they have got quality problems and the missing deadlines, right? So, and basically there's also lack of structure at key levels, right? They've got highly unstructured staff, and this is quite interesting because unstructured managers tend to recruit also unstructured staff, right? So when you have that, jadi kacau bilau lah the whole team. Basically everybody don't know what to do and they ask the boss tak tahu nak buat apa, right? So in the end, whatever, the problem escalates to the MD until the MD can resolve, right? And the MD is basically a highly structured person, right? MD kena resolve lah all these things, and then basically you're looking at katakan 400 staff punya problem, kan? So masalah lah. So that's why there was a lot of backlogs, right? So and there was also a lack of clarity, especially on the managers and mid-management punya level lah. So when we actually look at it, we changed the peak performance, and it didn't take long. It took around about 4 weeks. Right? We actually got new structures. There were clarity empowered and new integrated. And then basically the accounting firm basically actually has done quite well so far, right? And this was like 3-4 years ago, right? And we also did one jeweler. I won't name the jeweler, but I think you can guess lah siapa yang ni kan. So they had about 1,500 staff. So we actually did the assessment at the MD level, right? The owner of the jeweler itself. So that we found that kira macam he was exhausted, right? He had a lot of clarity in terms of what to do, but in terms of the motivation part, the energy level was drained out, right? And he was angry, because the emotional balance is very very, very negative, right? And because of that, he kept shouting at dia punya direct reports lah. And they are demotivated, right? So basically, there's a lot of confusion in terms of how the jeweler is supposed to move forward. So what we also found that the owners have lost clarity in terms of how to move forward, and it's basically the clarity issues lah. So when we did the assessment, we changed a few things. Then we got good talents to come in to help out the MD. And basically, we established a PMO, basically a project management office, to actually look into the right candidate and the right strategies for these companies to actually do things. And then basically, we also set up the academy for them, basically to retrain their staff in terms of knowing what are the things that they need to do, because all this while, the staff yang they want to recruit has never been trained. Right, so that's where the lack of clarity comes in, right? Kemudian kata filter of thought bubbles, meaning that people don't have to guess. Right? All this while they're on guessing a lot of things. Oh, this is maybe what I want to, the manager want to do, or the MD wants to do. So when they come in and then buat apa benda tu, tengok this is not what they want. So basically, we eliminate the thought bubbles. So basically, the jury is still out there, okay, in terms of the jeweler, but it looks like it's going on a positive transition lah. So that's where the forward momentum comes in. Right, so and there was one company yang dekat Hong Kong whereby we are actually doing diorang punya ni juga, and because of the pandemic apa semua tu, a lot of our consultation apa semua tu comes through online anyway, right? So they find that they were losing customers, and this company has been more than 100 years in Hong Kong. It's owned by a Pakistani Muslim, right? But he can talk, he can speak Mandarin apa semua tu lah. But the company has been there for more than 100 years, and it's generation to generation lah. So they find that they were losing customers, right? And the staff was not able to pivot. So we did a whole wrap of a blanket assessment of the whole company punya top management, and then we found that kira macam we had to reconstruct balik, dia punya brand punya ni, install a new head of operations. Lepas tu new managers able to pivot, and even the new managers too, we actually had to look at the same formula yang tadi I showed you, the cognitive structure multiplied by motivation, and basically we got the right people to actually run the data. So when you actually have a team consisting of good people in the right role, basically, this is where companies actually move very, very fast. We're talking about months. We're talking about 6 months. You can see the results already, right? And basically you have a year. We have a new growth coming in. So the growth comes in year on year is around about 30 to 70%. Right? So that's a huge, basically. There are new markets captured, and new products being launched, and new suppliers, even when you actually have a lot of interface dengan other clients, right? So basically, that's what we do, right? So what we are actually looking at, to look at businesses, whether it's accelerating or decelerating, and we can actually know that. So when we actually get the right people, the right peak performer within your organization, it impacts the business, especially on the growth part, especially if you have a team structure. Then, so you can see their results within 6 to 8 months, right? And basically, this is what we can actually help. We can also eliminate people who are basically flight risk, people who feel that they are looking at greener pastures outside. So basically, when you actually understand that, then you find that the people who are leaving your company normally are the high valued people, right? Because the non-valued people will stay with the company because they know that they're not marketable, right? But the high value will want to go to other company. So you want to stop that, because kalau katakan if these people go and they worse still is they go to your competitors, then basically you are losing ground, because they know all your tricks, your strategies, and then they're actually sharing that with your competitors. So basically what we can actually do is basically also prevent in terms of people leaving your company, right? So that's so basically what we're looking at is people build businesses, not technology ke ataupun apa semua tu. It's the person. So basically look at who you hire, and basically and look onboard effectively. So onboarding becomes very, 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 very crucial in terms of. So this is my last slide. Basically, this is what forward momentum is all about. Basically, it's looking at direction. Where is the direction of company going? Is it moving forward at growth level, or is it moving backward? So it has to do with the people within your organization. And secondly, what is more important is looking at the leadership part. Are the leadership people clear in terms of way forward? And third one is basically looking at the culture fit, where the culture actually fits with the people in there, So basically, you can actually perform effectively. Basically, you can actually work effectively, and you're happy with it. Right? Similarly, dengan apa ni, what earlier on you mentioned about Tesla, right? Tesla, people come in, their pay is shit, then suddenly, but yet basically you can see that the company is growing because people believe in it. So the climate is very important. And satu lagi is basically whether you are recruiting the right people, the people who are their peak, they know what to do and put in the right role, and you allow them to perform. That's it from me. Thank you very much. Kalau katakan ada any questions, please, over to you, Faiz.
Abang Farid, there's one question in the chat. How do you, a professional coach, play a part in creating a high performance of staff and organization? This is from Muhammad Benatan.
Okay. So the way that we do is basically we need to understand the person dulu. In coaching punya, you're talking about coaching, eh? Yeah? Okay.
Professional coach.
In coaching punya fraternity, normally it will run katakan in the course around minimum 4 months up to 6 months or even 12 months lah, right? So selalunya on first session, what we do is basically getting to know the coachee. Right? When you get to know the coachee, then you understand where they are. But sometimes it can actually go to around about the second session, which is going to be a month lah. That means you actually have that, you need at least about 2 months to understand lah. So for coaches, basically how we look at it is we need to understand where the coachee is coming from first, the baseline, right? So from the baseline to what is it that is bothering them? Sometimes they say that they want certain things, but they need something else, right? They need something else. Let's say ketika macam they want to be kaya, tapi sebenarnya the need is security, for example. So understand the need is important. Once you understand the need, you have to look at where they are in terms of the baseline, right? In terms of dia punya income, contohnya lah, in terms of dia punya expenses, where are the things, and then what are the skills required to overcome those things, right? So what some of the things that we do with the companies, when we do, for example, the forward momentum program, we can cut short dia punya knowing the baseline tu within 20-30 minutes. Because when they do those kind of certain things that we ask them to do, we know exactly where they want, and we can go straight away in terms of the coaching, the skills that they want to actually move them forward, right? So this is the intervention that we can, and coaching is just one of the intervention. There's so many other interventions. For example, certain people are not so keen in terms of working in sales. They rather be in finance, for example, right? So you put them in finance, they become better. So I've got one case that we did with one semi-government agency whereby we find that kira macam the head manager was not missing his KPI lah. Dia punya sales tak grow, right? So but when we found out that kira the second in command, a lady which is half their age, has got the right ability and the right motivation. Right? And we changed that person. Within 3 months, the sales of the company increased by 26%. Right? So that even that is also an intervention plan that we can actually do. So not necessarily training atau coaching lah. Right? So understanding the psyche, how the person actually works, how they perform, basically is important. Does that answer the question? Right? Okay.
I'm opening the floor to any more questions.
Yes, I have one question.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Hi, Mr. Farid, Coach Farid. Okay. I'm Sufyan. Okay. Saya ada satu soalan lah. I have one question. What if kalau misalnya kata founder itself dia motivated dah. Lepas tu dia dah ada vision dah. Lepas tu dia dah tahu apa nak buat dah. Tapi dia punya action is different. Kalau misalnya kata dia suruh staff buat sebenarnya, dia action tu different daripada apa yang dia visionkan. Right. So macam mana nak overcome this situation?
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Great question. These are the things that kira macam we find kira macam a lot in a lot of organization. The effectiveness in getting your subordinates to actually work together as a team lah, right? So again, sometimes there are a few areas. It's not as easy as ni. Satu is that you have to look at the dynamics between the communication between you and your subordinates, right? Sometimes your subordinates ni is not like you. Right? You may be very clear in terms of what you do, but they are the ones yang kita very ambiguous ataupun very open structure, right? So when they open structure ni, dia as though that kira macam you cakap telinga kanan, telinga kiri keluar kan? So they don't know what to do with it. So by the time kata they leave your room ke they lose all the things that you have to do. So in this sense, this kind of people, what you need to do is you have to actually give tighter SOP or tighter guidelines. That means kan, these people you give A, B, C, D, E. Lepas tu you kata, okay, you buat A dulu, lepas B, lepas tu C, lepas D, lepas tu dia boleh jalan. Right? So that's happened dengan kira macam a lot of katakan macam if you look at pump minyak all these Bangladeshi apa semua tu, sometimes dia orang tak tahu apa nak buat, right? So but in the training of pump minyak apa ni macam Shell ke Petronas ke apa ke, dia orang beritahu, okay, you do this one first, A, B, C, D, E. So they follow yang tu. They don't listen to your ni. So you can actually leave them alone. Right, and this happens to especially so dekat economies like Philippines, right? Philippines, even hotel staff apa semua tu, they have to give the tight SOP like that. We call it artificial structure, right? Artificial structure means, example lah, if you actually want to drive in Jakarta lah, kan, jam lah segala-gala macam, and you want to go from point A to point B. There's no way you can do it because you're not familiar. Yeah, I'm not familiar lah. Some of you may be familiar, I don't know. Tapi what is the artificial structure that you give them to actually perform well? So you give them ways. So ways you type in, kata you nak pergi ke, okay, this place. And ways will give you the direction which is the best. So they follow ways saja, it becomes your artificial structure. So similarly, kalau katakan if you want to get your person to work, and they can't seem to actually do things, you give them artificial structure or a checklist, right? This checklist allow them to perform at the peak level. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. Push.
Okay, thank you, Abang Farid. So
Alright.
we go. Before we go to the next session with our keynote speaker, so we are going to have a group photo. So I would like to request everybody to switch off your camera. And yeah, we're going to take photos. Change back to gallery. Yeah, I have 2 pages here. Everybody please open your camera. Okay. All right. 1, 2. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hold on. One more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Okay, our next session, which is the last session, our keynote speaker, Dr. Wong Shyan, he was the former CEO of CommerceNet Singapore. Currently, he serves as the CEO of Fatanah Venture. He is also the partner of Shyan Venture. His forte is sophisticated financial modeling and business modeling. He is well known for aggressive merger and acquisition techniques and innovative financial engineering. He founded the MOC, Miracles of Capital's course curriculum, which became the benchmark of top government officials training and high entrepreneurs pre-IPO training. Today, Dr. Wong's topic is very interesting. Honourable entrepreneurs and exponential organization. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Wong. Please, Dr. Wong.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
This may show indication. Can you hear me? Or maybe Khairul? Azman?
Yes, we can hear you.
Today, I was given a slot to discuss about honorable entrepreneurs and exponential organization. This is actually quite important because of this COVID. Many of us, we are investors. We invest into human being, okay, manusia, okay, or the person itself, the entrepreneur. But not all entrepreneur would be honorable. Okay, what's honorable? I think that's a question that we're going to talk about. And then what if the exponential organization didn't happen? Just last week, there was an entrepreneur who was offered by a consultant. The consultant offered to bring her IPO, okay, in 3 years' time, if she ditch all her current investors. Now, if she throw away all her current investor and go with the entrepreneur, and the lady agreed. So I think that it's not honorable. So especially for people who have invested in her, build up her business, but she jumped ship, right? So these statistics happen, okay, because maybe a lot of reasons. Could be due to financial pressure, could be due to some other reasons, but we can see real projects like this. So a lot of time, when we talk about honorable and talk about exponential organizations, so we need to understand the parameter, like Nash said that this is the red line. Okay, are you above the red line? Are you below the red line? Okay, or do you shift the line downwards or do you shift the line upwards? So there are few ways that we can do something. One way is that we shift the line down or we shift the line up. Okay. Now the other way is that we jump and build across the line. So would someone go with you through thick and thin? Because investment is into human being, into people. So this is one thing that we all have to remember. I do not invest into an idea. Okay, the idea may be good. I invest into a mindset. Okay, somebody's are they on the right mindset and so on. So I took on this set of slides that I write before we prepare a document for the entrepreneur. So this is something we call about spirit of enterprise. So does the red dot capture the spirit? Now, if this red dot is someone that's not honorable, I think the entire enterprise is not honorable. Okay, so let's look at definition. So if I define something that's very me, it's no point. So look at United Nations. United Nations will ask us to rethink when we do business. Number one, about human rights. Business should support and respect the protection of international proclaimed human rights. So this is the first principle. Now this will open up questions like what they are doing in Xinjiang in China, where a lot of people are saying that the Muslims in Xinjiang and China are being oppressed. So we have to investigate whether was there actually human rights issue involved, because otherwise you may enter into this business, you do a supply chain that may actually hurt the human rights, okay, or so on. Then principle number 2 is to make sure that they are not complicit in human rights abuses. So we do not want our business to participate in a chain that actually affects human rights. So this is what honorable entrepreneurs should actually look out for. And labor, principle number 3, business should uphold the freedom of association and the effective recognition of the rights to collective bargaining, means union. We allow workers to form union. Now this is very important because otherwise they'll be oppressed as an underclass. So we recognize that there are people who probably will become underclass. Now that does not include management. Because management are not labor. Okay, management are not considered as worker or the working class. So management is an intermediate. Okay, someone who actually execute the program. And principle number 4, we cannot forced or big compulsory labor. Okay, even though let's say you promise to bring me to Europe, then I promise to work for you. Then they become a force of compulsory labor. So in the olden days, when people start to go across national boundary, and this is very, very real, because there are people who actually induce maybe Bangladeshi to come to Malaysia to work, right? With a loan or something that they give to their family. And when they come here, they become a kind of forced and compulsory labor. So that is almost, we are not saying it's slave, but we do not want to enter the business like that. Then principle number 5, child labor. Wow, maybe this child is very bright. You know, this little boy or girl can play games online. Recently, I invested in games, and then they can get paid in playing games. So this guy, we will employ all this child to play games, so they can make money, right? And that is also called child labor, because they are child. And the only potential instance where you can use child labor is probably your father have a kedai runcit or a sundry shop or this provision shop, and you after school nothing to do, help your dad in something. Maybe that probably was the only legal part of child labor, right? Because you're just helping your dad. You're not being paid to do that work. Principle number 6, elimination of discrimination in respect of employment and occupation. You cannot say that I want to employ people based on certain color, certain class, certain language, certain religion, unless you think that that language is mandatory, right? Or something like that. So sometimes you may see that in a multicultural environment like Malaysia, so we sometimes will see advertisement wanting to employ certain people who speak certain languages, is because that is probably required of the job, then I can understand. But otherwise, it should not be a kind of discrimination. Then the environment, business should support environmental challenges. So we do not want to start planting something by slash and burn, or we do not want to destroy environment by doing something. So this is very, very real. So we should become a lot more environmental conscious. So we look into circular economy and undertake initiative to promote greater environmental responsibility. In fact, we have a duty to promote not just the environmental as a climate, I think even the visual and physical environment of the place. You do not mess up your neighborhood, right? You should just take something to fence it off if you are doing a lot of collection of junk, right? So I just realized in Bangsa, one of the car park has actually fenced themselves off, right? So that it looks a bit neater. Okay. To encourage the development of and the diffusion of environmental friendly technologies, we should encourage the use of environmental friendly technology, sustainability, and so on. I think one of the things that we do business globally, you realize this thing called anti-corruption. Business should work against corruption and bribery and so on. Okay, money laundering and so on. Now, it is very funny because I really believe that whether you are an honourable person, you make a lot of changes. I started my career as a salesman before I went to university. Right, as a salesman, I was young. I was 19 years old, 18 years old. I was driving a small little car, Opel Kadett, and I squeezed the car until maximum. Right, I really squeezed the car. So once in a blue moon or once in a while, I get tickets. I'll get stopped by the traffic police. Now that's Malaysia. This is Malaysia, right? And we all know that when these things happen, there's a potential for corruption, right? You know what? Now I'm 56 years old. That was 18 years old. I got my license at 17 years old. Have I ever paid any bribe? No. I refuse. If you want to find me, go ahead. And because I always say you go ahead, they feel that it's tabrabaloid. What's the heck, man? I waste my time trying to get this young guy, right? So they have never actually fined me. They don't even give me the tickets. It's a waste of time because I stick to my principle of not want to paying corruption. So you may think that this is Malaysia, man, right? How can you actually survive with all this traffic guy and you don't pay the corruption? Then the only one time they paid the fine, I went to the balai. I told them that I want this one to be waived. They waived me, right? 2020 was not a good year, right? The income was affected. So instead of filling in my income tax properly, I just do an estimation. I pay higher than my income. So the LHDN came and want me to know I didn't pay so much tax. And you know what happened? I shifted my operation back to Kuala Lumpur from Singapore. My global income, all these are done in Kuala Lumpur. Hasil dalam negeri, bukan luar negara, right? Lembaga hasil dalam negeri. So at the end, my accountant actually lump all the income into my my whole thing, but I also pay income tax in Singapore. You know what? I actually pay more tax than necessary. Now the officer was very, very professional. He engaged me for almost 3 months. He never lost his temper. He was very nice, true gentleman. I like him so much, in fact. Right? I want to actually incubate him also, actually, if possible. But you know what? He gave me a letter of release, and the best part, income tax returned me the tax that I overpay, despite Malaysian government have no more money. Right? They still repay me the money. Okay, so imagine you can actually do that. I was in Pakistan. I was investing in Pakistan for 2010 until Benazir Bhutto's incident. You know what? Can you believe it? In Pakistan, zero corruption for me, right? It again, I think your state of mind is so important. If you are a man of honourable and principle, right? When people attack me, there are people attack, but okay lah, let it be. I mean, this guy, I pity them again because they are not people of honourable. So people like us, when you want, you do honourability. And where do you bring us? So just now, Nash was talking about responsibility. It is so important because even the company don't go well, they close down, right? And or we sell the company, or we go IPO. And the third part was extremely attractive for me because I don't like to invest in company that close down, yang gulung tikar, yang bungkus, okay, that close down, bankrupt, move list. I prefer that company have either 2 or 3. 2 is being M&A, merger and acquisition, being a trade sale or IPO, right? But few of us understand the closing down itself require a lot of responsibility, right? Because entrepreneur must be aware how to close down a Sdn Bhd or close down a Berhad. So many entrepreneurs run away. When the company is the problem, they run away. There's no finishing touch. Now, it is very important because don't forget, you may have the next chance. And you actually destroy your second chance because you didn't do well. You didn't do a proper closure for this round, right? So you leave a very bitter taste. You leave a lot of bad opinion about you, right? So, or we can strike off a company. If your company have not commenced operation, this is something you should look at, okay? Or you do not intend to carry on any more business operation, and you do not have any asset, no outstanding liability, or all the liability people have written off, okay, you get a letter of release, or if you can close, you can strike it off quite easy. There are no outstanding penalty incurred by the Companies Act or the government. You don't owe any taxes, you can strike out the company. Okay, so the company is not yet paid any dividend to the shareholder. They have never paid dividend before, you can strike off. The information company as lodged to registrar is up to date. We are not involved in any legal proceeding. There's no court case inside or outside Malaysia. There's no holding company or subsidiary. It's neither a holding company or subsidiary of another company, and it's not identify. It's not identity as a grantor. This company don't act as a grantor. Then you can strike it off, right? So, of course, we want to do a completion proper closure. We have to understand the role of SSM. Okay, so here. This is the place that we can check for the acceptance of submission. And if they say yes, then we can strike out within 6 or 12 months. So to close the company is one thing that's very honorable to do as well. Okay. If you want to strike off, you may face difficulty if the company has very large shareholder base and payer capital. So how do we strike out? So a lot of people didn't know that I'm a financial engineer. So what we do is that we can do capital reduction. Right, so if you have big capital base, so we can do capital reduction by doing an EGM, right? And if a company has retained profit, right? You can actually distribute it, or if you have losses, you have to get them to agree to actually forego or to write off. So so SSM may refuse your request to strike off. Then the other way is winding up a company. Strike off is just SSM Kautim. But winding off a company, there's a process. So you have to sell the asset, you have to pay liabilities, okay, distribute whatever that is left over to the shareholder. If there's not enough, they have to top up to close it. But most shareholders, they do not want to top up, right? Then again, you can see not all shareholders are honorable as well. People want to go into business, they want to go into as an investor, but they don't have the right mindset or the frame of mind. So Nash and myself spent a lot of time looking at people. You know how many people invited Nash and myself to be shareholder in their company? A lot, because we are not consultant. We are the one who put money into your firm, right? Kita bukan consultant. Kita tak ambil wang dari kamu. Kita yang memberi wang kepada kamu. So people come to see us. And why? Not all the time we become shareholder. So sometimes we see the chances of you, how you can build or you can pivot your mindset. Among them is that we think that what happened when the company actually closed down, right? Do you have the fighting spirit to wind it up, right? So it is very important for us that to wind up a company, especially when the company is no longer able to meet obligations, right? This morning I advised one big investment firm to wind up. I said that you can distribute all the investment portfolio to all the shareholders. Means based on the percentage you distribute and wind up the company. And that probably takes about 6 months or 7 months, right? Because why? The red dot is tired. The red dot has lost its interest. Like just now, we are saying that the red dot, okay, or the entrepreneur has become fatigued, right? So voluntary winding up of Sdn Bhd is quite easy, fill in several forms and so on, right? And the cost of winding up in Malaysia is usually between 5,000 to 20,000. So you just make sure that you have enough money in the company to pay the winding down or these sort of things, right? There are two types of winding up. One is that the company is solvent. Okay, we agree to close it. Now the other one is actually insolvent, right? So if solvent is okay, right? The other one is that you have to mandatory. Okay, we have to remove all the loss-making business from the industry, so to allow this whole thing to happen. So many of us, we have to decide, right? Like the investment company case, they are solvent, they have money, they may have to distribute back all the investment money to the investor as well. And all the portfolio may be distributed, including listed company. The company invested in a company that went listing, right? So theoretically, it is a very good company, but the entrepreneur is tired. So we have to opt for winding up of the company. That's my advice, whether to take it or not, right? Now, compulsory winding up happens when ada hutang, you have so much debt, okay, you cannot even pay. Okay, the law allows us to hutang up to $500, okay, to pay within 21 days. That if the demand note is not settled, okay, then we can actually wind up the company, right? 500 je, right? But we can also extend some country to 10,000. I think a new one probably was extended already. I didn't pay attention. So like in certain place, you have this small claim court. Like in Singapore, it's 10,000 Sing dollar. You go to small claim court below and below. If more than that, you do a proper court case. So it actually helps in the whole process. And there's a guy who actually will come to help you in the closing. That's called liquidator. Now, just bear in mind that who get paid first? The first one who get paid is liquidator, right? It is funny, you cannot withhold his fee. So a liquidator, he come in, dia ambil wang dulu. Does he actually really help you to do the best deal? No, he just want to do his job. He don't actually settle the best possible deal to be as fair as possible. They don't care, right? So again, working with the right liquidator is so important, right? It's the same thing. I think a lot of people realize, those of you who went through bankruptcy, right? There's an official assignee. By right, a good official assignee will help you clear your status. But in Malaysia, you can see that they are just MIA, missing in action. Ramai yang tak boleh jumpa dia, right? And the attitude is tak apa, right? Although you want to go overseas, they don't help you in the process. Actually, they are supposed to help you. Bankruptcy law is to help protect you, not to make you suffer, right? So the idea is that liquidator, same thing. They want to help to clear up the whole mess, right? So again, a lot of us, we are not, because you don't close down a company every day, you do not do that. But people like us who invest, this is what we see every day, right? Every other day, you can see company closing down, they have problem, they have to sign documents, some have to run around with the paperwork, right? So these are very real. And the company resale value, okay, we'll look at a lot of ways. Some people look at that tangible assets, some with the book value. We look at how fast we can monetize what is remaining, okay? The biggest mistake a new company can make is how they track expenses. Many of them, they do not know, they are startup. They are not well versed, okay? A lot of bookkeeper, they actually don't perform well. So a lot of accounts needs to be cleaned up, right? They don't get a good value. So when we're going to sell a company, if you want to close down, you realize you don't get the best value. And again, whether a person is honorable or not, whether a person will tell you the truth, I think that's very, very important. That's why we do due diligence. We look at the companies. And again, we have to train our guys to work with or without the red dot. Okay? The first day, like you look at the things, I think Joli Rashid has written in one of the notes in the Honourable, the words for entrepreneur. He said that the first day you, no, sorry, John Ishak, he said that the first day you go to the firm, you must train your successor, right? So a lot of us, when we want to sell a company, we want to get out, but do you train someone else? It is very unhonorable to sell something and you get out and the company cannot function, right? I was given the challenge. I raised fund for a company called Commerce Mark under Commerce Trust, using Commerce Mark to raise fund. But one of the things that there's a lot of profit to be made. So that was one of my earlier pot of gold. And it was extremely challenging. One of the things, if I sold the company, the guy who buy the company may buy a company that cannot work, right? And because people like us will have leave. So again, we decided to cancel the deal. So know when you can sell a business. So many of us under acquisition, we must know when to exit. So very few of us are honorable enough to tell the truth that the company you buy is actually sick. It's actually a cancerous company. But for people like myself and Nash, we look at the company not just how honorable you are also. We don't need a profit guarantee. But then we want to see whether we have the rights or we can have the ability to turn it around. If you can turn it around, I think any deal is a good deal. If you cannot turn it around, any deal is a lousy deal. Okay, the ability for us or ease of turning around is so important. But that depends on the transparency. And we need to negotiate well in the whole process. So if you want to sell your company, so the guy that we invest in should also be able to negotiate. And how do we say goodbye, right? We are not committing suicide, okay? But so when we are leaving a firm, we should do it graciously, gracefully, make the transfer to the new owner as smooth as possible, right? Some people, they destroy, when they are saying goodbye, they destroy the company, right? Because they are no longer the owner of the company. Even you're not selling, operate like you are, right? So for us, just like I remember that when I was young, I always drive, my father was driving on the highway, I always read this thing, sembayang lah sebelum kamu disembayangkan, right? Or before, just as if you're going to die. So if you're running a firm, we should run the firm as it is forever, it's mine. Okay, we operate well, like it's forever, right? And the best option for me is to plan for IPO, right? So if the entrepreneur is honorable, trustworthy, good guy, then we should put all the efforts to build him into an IPO company. So there are a lot of unicorns that you can see, right? And what makes a unicorn? For us, having a red dot, they have the spirit with equanimity. Okay, I want to stress again, at the beginning, we must understand equanimity, clear aspiration. We have a plan but objective, means we must have hala tuju, ke mana kita pergi, must have visibility and clarity, and you must know all the short-term shores, means there's a short win, right? Win, win, and win, and win. And there's also business model that you can see and you cannot see. And we have to go deeper and deeper, not just go wider and wider. A lot of people go very wide. And we must understand the difference between value chain and supply chain. Okay, where is supply chain and what's the value chain, so that you can do our profit pools, so we can protect the shareholder and the investor with dividend policy as well. And Nash will tell you that we must put in both capex and opex account, right, and the capital and provisional dividend account, and to operate a firm with budgets. I think that's very, very important. So many people didn't follow budgets, and I can assure you, if even you're a small firm, you don't follow budget, you are going to be poor. I can assure you that. I went through this whole thing as well. Right? I have many firms, right? So budgeting is the first key, okay, to plan your finances. Then a very clear role between shareholder and the directors, management and staff, the 4 basic layers. And if you don't build firewall, you're exposing shareholder to risk, you're exposing company to risk. And the financial roadmap, otherwise there's no master plan, right? If you have no financial roadmap, all your business plan are just nonsense. All your budget are just nonsense. They're plucked from the sky for no reason, right? So a person who do not understand financial roadmap, it's a waste of time. Okay, and the IPO roadmap is different from financial roadmap. IPO roadmap is the steps we have to take for compliance. Then we have to have a storyline and a exit strategy that we have to define. And the KPI has to be tied in for the financial roadmap so that we can build all the business plan and so on, and understand which are the levers that we can do. Is called the butterfly effect, and have profit targets, the IRM. Who are the guys that you want them to invest in you? No one owe you any favor, right? So if you do not make yourself attractive, no one will invest, and we do not invest in strangers. So, and there's also a certain gap that we have to cross, the chasm, right? And the professional team, the CXO, it is so crucial. Succession policy and your M&A possibility. Profit pool is so important because the M&A and the profit pool is the only thing that will hit your valuation. Because your calling valuation, if you cannot do your M&A and your profit pool, you realize that your valuation is just a hot air. And we have to slice the supply chain because we want to support the valuation. And wealth generator, for people who want to do a very huge sum of money, wealth generator is crucial, and we have to use portfolio method. If you use portfolio method, you understand why it is different from our normal management method. And then we have to play a game theory. And lastly, just like at the beginning, back to equanimity again. Now, a lot of people didn't understand what would be the minimum viable knowledge for the CXO. You have to understand the company and the role of the stakeholder, the valuation and the share issues. So many of us do not know how to issue shares. And if you do not know how to issue shares, chances are you can never be a unicorn, right? Because these are the fundamental or the building blocks. Term sheets, IM, or prospectus is something that you have to build. I think you better capture this page if you have a screen capture, right? And investor relationship management and financial roadmap, something that we have to do. We have to calculate the KPI, financial budgeting, and financial control. These 3 are the things that will make your company valuable. And don't forget your staff. You have to give them the ESOS and SIG. And you must understand the rights issue that you can play to leverage on your valuation. You may be calling your valuation, but you do not know how to play right issues. Then sometimes you will be doing down rounds. Then that would be illegal. Okay. Then you must understand your exit strategy, whether you're listing in Malaysia or regional markets or NASDAQ and New York. The firewall have to be built properly without being illegal. And corporate restructuring is something that we have to go through the process. M&A. And some of us, we like franchise. Then what's the difference between franchise and JV? If you do Rakan Niaga, you should actually understand that you're doing both franchise and JV, but you're building a JV structure. The investment portfolio that you build have a implication because there's time frame, medium term, long term, short term. A lot of people die because they go for very long term, right? So you have to balance the long term, short term. And institutional investor is so important. Without that, your valuation do not hold. And how to stabilize your price, okay? How to use treasury stocks, okay? And how to do a reduction of paid up capital to stabilize your price. And you ramp up for the valuation after the IPO, post-IPO. After IPO is so important. If your CXO do not know this, you have a big problem. And people talk about PE ratio, but do you know that we are the one who actually determine the PE ratio, not the market, right? Then we didn't realize that we are the one from our initiative will affect the PE ratio, the value chain, and the profit pool. Now, if we do that, then we are designing the IPO. We are pushing the IPO process from high risk. Okay, we are joining it as soon as possible, high risk and low risk. And because of that, we are expecting a high return and low return, right? Usually companies, before they have money and profit, we are the one who come in, right? So but institutional is where the KPI has to be set. So if you are pushing your company, an entrepreneur, you have to build this one, because this is where exponential growth come in. So exponential growth is actually a matter of how we actually push a company from 100,000 to 500 million or to $1 billion, right? So it's a give a exponential growth. Now, so many people go IPO without going through the exponential growth. You know what will happen? After IPO, the company worth 40 million, 80 million, 100 million. What the heck? Why do you want to go IPO? Even before IPO, we are doing 300, 400 million, right? If you use the right technique. So a lot of people, they just do not know that they are able to push the value. Now, the pre-IPO process is something that's very important. We have to be able to participate. And I tell you, quota is more important than money. Okay? The ability to be given a shares quota is more important than money. That's why Dasar Economy Baru, you realize that they prefer quota rather than money. Right? So the profit KPI for each stage of the valuation, and this is the thing we call the dilution path. You design the dilution path. And mind you, this is a live document. Okay, so we decide how much dilution is going to happen, right, which will determine the capital adequacy, because the paid up is determined from here. So whether you have adequate capital to pull through your IPO program. A lot of people are raising funds without putting in adequate capital, and this is not good. And all these are running parallel, not in a series. So you know the founder thing was not even finished, the angel thing was starting, angel thing was not even finished, the venture capital thing is starting. So your IRM or your projects they push are as good as all running in parallel. So for many of us, we think that the importance of proper exit planning is so important. Number one, we look at this guy, whether it's honorable or not. I mean, there's a lot of things that we would expect of an entrepreneur, and the pool of knowledge that's required, and the company structure that's proper. So we need to have both visibility and clarity. Where we are going, the visibility, clarity are all the steps that we have to take. So with this, these are the criteria that we think that's very, very crucial for a company today to get fundings. So with this, I'll let pass it back to Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Wong. I would like to open the floor for question to Dr. Wong. Let me check on the chat page. Yeah. Is there any question? If anybody have a question, please raise your hand. Okay, since there is no question, we are going to end the, oh, sorry. Azman, please. Not raise the hand lah. Azman, please proceed.
Thank you, Dr. Wong, for the very powerful sharing. Just now you mentioned about to have for an organization like maybe like Accelerator, rather than have only long-term projects like long-term exit. We are also looking for how to do ataupun kita juga tengah cari jalan macam mana untuk dapatkan short-term exit. Is there any insight on what kind of short-term exit that usually good for this kind of exercise? Thank you.
Yes, so, as an investor, we think that you are subject matter expert, betul tak? Jadi biasa we will encourage the company to also do training. Sebab training cepat, right? So training, you do a few training program and so on to actually expose your expertise so they can generate some cash flow. And the same thing when you do the training, we are actually not doing training per se. We are doing IRM, Investor Relationship Management. Kerana orang yang datang adalah orang yang berminat. So from there, it is if we structured our program smartly, kita boleh jumpa ramai orang yang menjadi potential investor, right? Dari usaha yang kita buat tu. So these are some of the key things that we we will do to balance out the short-term requirement lah. You dapat wang, you also suruh dapat jadikan satu IRM yang sangat penting, investor relationship management. So these are what we push.
Thank you very much.
Okay, saya ada satu question. Dr. Wong, thank you for the presentation. Okay, so my question is, kita previously we have a few Sdn Bhd company that we register Sdn Bhd, but it doesn't turn out a good business, but no liability, no asset, everything, but only we just register. So at the point of time, we don't know how to close down or strike off the company. So we have this few experience. So my question is, moving forward, if we are trying to build one company that we have a dream to go IPO. We have a passion to go to IPO for this kind of business and this kind of company, but we are starting back not as a Sdn Bhd company but enterprise company. So how from this point, how to go and move forward from this point?
Okay, so usually failure tak takut. Biasanya for investor macam kita, kalau usahawan gagal, it's a good thing tau, sebab dia belajar, dia so pandai. But what we afraid is the usahawan, dia lari tau, dia tak nak face reality, dia tak tutup company baik-baik. So it give a very bad impression of the usahawan, dan nanti dia ada idea baru, kita tak berani, tak nak labur dia lagi. We are afraid of investing in him because we feel that this guy is not responsible, not very honourable. Betul tak? Itu yang takut. Now, in your question, if you start again as an enterprise bukan syarikat. Enterprise tak ada syarikat. Enterprise hanya satu perniagaan. You have to understand the difference between perniagaan dengan syarikat. Because syarikat is that we create an entity baru, satu entity yang dia menanggung hak tanggungan terhad, right? There's a limited liability. When we do a perniagaan, it's extension ourselves. Let's say Ayani dengan saya we do limited partnership pun tak apa, okay? Walaupun tak serasi dengan partnership pun he 70 saya 30 tak apa juga. But it is an extension of myself and Ayani. Nanti Ayani kita kena sue, we still have to pay based on our liability to the extent of dia 70 saya 30. Dulu kalau partner equal dia 50 saya 50. Now limited liability partnership sampai liability sampai tahap my participation. Jadi so far if you really want to do major business, buatlah satu syarikat walaupun Sdn Bhd. Now because your experience of the failure and because we are slow in reaction, because all the entrepreneur dia tak tahu apa nak buat, ada orang nak tanya, corporate secretary they just keep on charging kan. Setiap quarter alamak RM125, RM120. So at the end of the day, you also shocked. The cost is very high because you're not doing anything, the company is not doing well. So we all have this worry of the Sdn Bhd. No, actually Sdn Bhd do it properly, memang bagus, right? So I think we have to erase the experience yang tak baik. We do it properly. Kali ni buat proper, right? That is a good thing. Jangan keep on joining company yang kamu tak boleh membawa nilai. Do not just keep on joining company that you cannot create value. I was young guy, I was very stupid. 20 lebih syarikat saya join as a young guy, right? When I was 20-something years old. At the end, financial crisis datang 97, .com era, all collapse. And tanggungan sangat tinggi because firstly, the entrepreneur, they don't know how to close down. Saya pun tak tahu. So I also trial and error. The whole closing down take me 3 to 4 years. You know how much you pay the corporate secretary untuk when you fail already and your income tak kuat lagi. So all of us have bad experience. Tetapi I think the important thing we learn from that, we build the company properly. Okay. Then we important that we only join company that we can bring value. Yang kita boleh manfaat kepada syarikat and also to ourselves, right? So that is a kind of learning. Is a successful thing is not about banyak though. It's about focus. Sasa penting. We need to, the game theory say one thing very simple. If I invest in Farid, I expect Farid to be focused kan, betul tak? Then Azman invested in me. He also expect me to focus, not doing many things. But imagine we are all focused. Ayani ada share pada saya, Khairul ada share di saya, Farid ada share di saya, I'm very focused. But I also invest in Farid. Khairul also invest in Farid. Ayani also invest in Farid. We also expect Farid to be focused, correct or not? Why? Because when we succeed, everybody succeed. That's the game theory yang sangat penting, di mana we expect everybody to do satu barang je, do one thing and we get everything. Why? So Farid expect Faiz Hamzah to be focused. Because Faiz Hamzah is focused, Farid, our chance of success is lagi tinggi kan? Betul tak? Right? You can, but he can analyze Faiz, apa size, what's the problem, dia boleh analyze. Tetapi Faiz, you only do one thing. Now that is a very powerful thing. It is against our mindset of doing many things, right? So I would like Khairul Azman to do one thing. Why? Because Ayani, Farid, and myself invest in him. We expect him to do one thing, do it well. But Khairul Azman is willing to do one thing kerana dia pun invest in Farid, dia also invest in Ayani or Dr. Wong. He also expect me to do one thing well. He also expects Farid to do one thing well. And because of that, we got everything. Semua orang dapat semua barang. And the Ayani do what he do best. Farid do what he do best. I do what I do best. Hey, Faiz, you do what you do best lah. Jangan buat apa yang kamu tak tahu tu, right? So that is a kind of things that in entrepreneurship we do, right? You get the idea, that?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Wong. Thank you so much.
Any more questions for Dr. Wong? If no, thank you, Dr. Wong. That was a very great presentation. Before I end this event, I would like to invite my colleague, Mr. Azdi. He will explain a little bit about our program on end of this month. This is a program by the Joli Rogue. Basically, Azdi Khairil is a business professional with a few impressive portfolios. Previously, he worked with Louis Vuitton and also Shell Malaysia. And to name a few, he involved in writing modules used for national level business training and high performing enterprise. One of his manuscript he wrote, Naskah Manipulasi Pelanggan, has been read, downloaded, and converted to a nationwide. He also had an extensive experience managing several strategic consultancy projects, IRDA, MDEC, and also several major agencies, ministry and ministry in Malaysia. So I would like to invite Azdi to talk about our program, and which is going to be done at the end of this month. Yep.
Okay, thank you. A very good afternoon, I think, to everyone. Kita akan start dengan hari ini pendapat. So my slot is a bit, my role here is to do the closing lah. Tapi most of the things is I needed to go and brief something about our current program called the benchmark. So I would like to ask permission to share screens, please.
Yes, you can.
Okay. So a bit about myself. Okay, let me just check on this part. Okay, you guys see everything, right? Okay, just untuk memperkenalkan diri sendiri, nama saya Azdi Khairil bin Hayati, berumur 41 tahun. Tahun ni berasal dari Perak, sekarang ada di KL lah. Okay, so as we see, yang kita cakap sekarang ni on this particular punya setup is kita punya session pasal benchmark. So tadi kalau siapa yang dah dengar, session dari pagi tadi pukul 10 sampai sekarang pukul 1.28, kita dengar pasal performance, kita cerita pasal business and how a person and the talent of a company contribute to create a very profitable company, which is what we call a peak performance punya company. So but ada banyak terms yang mungkin ada ramai kat sini yang tak berapa nak fasih, tak berapa arif dan tak berapa biasa. So because we're talking about IPO, we're talking about acquisition, we're talking about M&A, merger acquisition. Yang kita cakap pasal a lot of terms yang kita tak tahu. But terms tu menarik tau, terms tu best. Tapi dia tak faham how can we relate these terms dengan things yang ada. So betul tak benda yang kita buat sekarang? Am I doing the right thing? So sedikit pasal diri sendiri. Saya dah buat bisnes for almost 13 tahun, lebih kurang lah plus minus. So kita start bisnes, kita start enterprise. Currently, health date kita ada ni. After 13 tahun, kita dah ada daripada satu enterprise basic tadi tu. Kita dah upgrade pada Cyberheart. Sekarang ni Alhamdulillah kita dah ada 2 pre-IPO, di mana kita punya fokus pre-IPO kita yang pertama adalah satu, agenda Cyberheart is more towards the fintech, finance punya teknologi. Kita punya fokus adalah kita percaya bahawa the orientation is every business, including Malaysian business, is all IPO-able. So kita punya aspiration is to mold Malaysian punya business towards to that path. So itu kita punya part. That one is basically satu side. The other one is we have this project called Santap Food Berhad. Santap Food Berhad, kalau kita tengok balik, dia sebenarnya adalah projek di mana kita buat satu projek F&B, is F&B punya projek, di mana kita tukar beberapa produk makanan yang kita nampak asalnya biasa-biasa, kita tukar kepada luar biasa, changing the whole mechanics daripada market mechanism towards kepada capital mechanisms. So a part of that tu juga, I'm also included, kita sibuk dengan kita punya actual project sekarang, creating aggregators project. So kita ada satu project called Bagus Parcel, is an courier aggregator, so some sort of macam easy parcel, but kita manage to slash the price sampai jadi rendah betul. So sama juga dengan kita ada satu lagi project, is called Iklan. Iklan is basically a billboard punya company whereby kita cari jalan how to cut through using the capital mechanism punya application and discipline to cut through the price, reduce daripada biasa standard pricing is around 30,000 untuk 1 tahun, kita boleh buat sampai 15,000 untuk 2 tahun. So this is all based on the applications of capital mechanics. So the capital mechanics ni, dia tak, kalau you buka dalam Google, you Google perkataan capital mechanism, you takkan jumpa. You Google perkataan capital mechanics, you akan nampak muka yang akan keluar adalah muka Dr. Wong Jaishan. Itu memang biasa keluar. Lepas tu mungkin dia akan nampak muka Nash Idrus dekat sana. Sebab this is the prominent figures yang bercakap tentang capital mechanism. You can relate the capital mechanism punya point to a corporate finance punya disiplin, whereby I was brought up dalam my degree is in business. So kita belajar corporate finance. But the way we have to understand bahawa corporate capital mechanism is corporate finance but discipline in a way that easier for you guys to understand. So macam contoh, if kalau kita tengok macam tu sekarang, aku basically relate to satu point whereby I have a partner for my current project. I have partners dalam satu e-commerce project yang kita buat sekarang. I have partners whereby dua daripada of my partners tu is basically an AP king. Diorang ni own AP kereta mewah besar tau. So dalam Malaysia ni kita ada lebih kurang maybe 200 ke 300 AP holders. So these two prominent figures is basically one of my partners dalam this project. And these dua orang ni sekarang yang jadi AP king ni, yang jadi AP holders ni is called AP Kings Malaysia tau. Sebab dalam Malaysia ada 10 orang top AP Kings. Diorang ni dua orang daripada diorang ni, satu orang top 3 dan satu orang top 8. And then bila cakap balik macam ni tau, and then to be honest with you guys, bila tanya balik how much value of the company to hold, and dia kata balik, okay, this is basically his exact word. He said, Dato', and this is his exact word. I've been struggling to do business for 25 years. Saya dah buat bisnes untuk 25 tahun, dan dalam masa 25 tahun tu, alhamdulillah, thank God, my business worth around 200 million. Okay, saya nak sebut dekat sini perkataan dia, 25 tahun dan 200 juta. Okay, satu lagi orang, dia buat dalam masa 15 tahun, dia buat lebih kurang dalam 100 juta. My point is this, komoditi yang paling besar, yang paling susah nak dapat dalam masa tau, menggunakan market mechanism, which is menggunakan profit yang kita dapat daripada market, which datang daripada customers, yang datang daripada all the things yang ada kat dalam market. This is the normal hasil yang kita akan dapat, the normal result yang kita akan terima. The normal result is dalam masa 25 tahun dia dapat untung you punya value of the company is around 200 million. 30 tahun dia dapat 300 juta. Sedangkan di dalam capital mechanism punya disiplin, you can actually sampai to that level of 200 juta atau 300 juta in less than 3 years. So this is the whole idea of creating exponential punya vehicle. This is the reason kenapa Dr. Wong cakap panjang. Macam mana you nak differentiate between enterprise and buka satu SEM Berhad, and why do you need to change your punya format of the business from private limited towards public unlisted and going to public listed later, because at the end of the day this is all about the exit strategies that you have. So memendekkan cerita, banyak sangat cerita ni kan. So kalau nak tengok balik daripada this point, the actual punya setup, we have set up untuk saya secara peribadi. I've been into business for 13 years doing market mechanism tau. I mean, kita faham daripada bila kita masuk dalam company, banyak company, my job is basically to do turnaround. Turnaround means ada banyak company yang tengah jatuh, dah biasa income 200,000, 300,000 sebulan, and then dia dah pergi pada 1 juta sebulan, 5 juta sebulan, tiba dia drop kepada less than 1 million a month. Right? Bila jadi macam tu, so my job is to come into the company and start changing the whole market mechanism punya function tau. So I have to start tengok balik dia punya finance, I tengok balik dia punya marketing, I tengok balik dia punya propositions and everything, and start buat. But the truth is, whatever things that I did, sebenarnya nothing compared to the world of miracle of capital, because at the end of the day, I'm just one person. The whole idea of capital mechanism is you take all the segala jenis exponential punya power yang dekat luar and put it to your company and gain more. So this is the part yang kita salah buat last time. This is, I'm talking about my previous mistake. I've been this one guy called Muhammad Khairul Ikram. He's the kalau kita nanti kita akan berasa tengok dalam this pirate punya aspiration. This guy adalah orang yang lead the whole organization, right? So I know this guy for around 8 years aku kenal, and he was so keen. Kalau tengok dia tak cakap banyak, and he was so cakap, kita apalah, jom bro, mari kita buat sama-sama benda ni. And I said, tak apa, I think yang penting sekarang I need to do business my way, because business is basically kita boleh bread and butter lah. But what happened is this, kita faham bahawa selepas kenal the whole capital mechanism, because the things yang kita dengar tadi, Nash cakap, kita dengar Ayani cakap, kita dengar Abang Farid cakap, even kita dengar even Wawan cakap, billions is just nothing. You can easily keluar, because in the end of the day, if you know the valuation punya rumus, you dah tahu dah macam mana nak buat. You punya KPI tu you boleh meet bila-bila masa, because semua orang, even sifu kat luar pun ada berapa ratus sifu yang panggil orang, you nak belajar Facebook ads ke, you nak belajar Google ads ke, you nak belajar cara nak naikkan sales ke. Even I was one of the former sifu. Kat sini ada berapa ramai orang yang masuk kelas, my class, and understand this is just the KPI is just a part of the whole setup. What I'm trying to say is this. Do you have time sampai my partners punya masa sampai umur dia 50 lebih, 60 lebih, working for 30 years just to make sure that dia punya company rasa, okay, I got my company worth 200 million now. Sedangkan you ada cara untuk cut the whole thing through sampai jadi 2 tahun atau 3 tahun. The discipline is called capital mechanism, and tak banyak pun course yang mengajar pasal capital mechanism dekat luar, tak ada. So what I'm trying to say to you guys is this. If kalau misalnya by any means you guys are somehow inspired with the numbers yang keluar from Cik Khairul Azman tadi, sampai orang dia punya counterparts daripada luar, dia rasa macam ini idea ni gila ni, dan orang ni bagus ni, orang ni bagus ni, aku nak bawa kau pergi jumpa Richard Branson. This is how great mind thinks alike, and this is the beauty of the miracle of capital, faham tak? So some people may push the business utilizing kita punya cash untuk beli saham for the capital as a money capital. Ada orang juga akan keluarkan dia punya talent as capital. Ada orang juga akan push the networking as the capital. All is there put together dalam satu case yang sangat cantik. This is the part yang kita nak cakap. My point, the reason why I'm here is because I'm glad. Saya baru balik daripada Perak. I have to go straight to KL because I kena bawa I punya sick parents balik ke KL. So what happened is this. Bila kita balik tadi tu, bila kita kat situ, cakap tak nak terlepas, because these sharings yang ada adalah sangat bagus, because you cannot share these sharings kat mana-mana tau. Mr. Ayani for instance, dia punya experience datang daripada duduk serving a company yang memang sekarang semua orang tahu JDT punya worth berapa billion. So we're talking about Dr. Wong. We're talking about everyone. We even cakap dengan Abang Farid, which is yang orang mungkin tak pernah dengar nama dia, but bayangkanlah sampai Hong Kong, bayangkan big prestigious company and firms yang panggil dia datang. And how this brilliant mind works. So my job here, tak nak cakap panjang, my job here is to tell you guys, there is basically one program yang kita ada to share with you guys the insights of all this capital mechanism punya intipati put together dalam satu simple but nice punya program called the benchmark. So this benchmark punya slides, normally dia akan cerita banyak pasal designs. So dia macam ni tau, kita tengok balik. Right now currently my actual assignment, my actual project under Aksara, kita nak kena come up dengan satu gold standard report on capital mechanism punya part. Kita faham bahawa my job is basically I have to go and dissect 100 business yang ada pergi IPO kat dalam dunia, daripada Accenture sampailah kepada Zoom, A sampai Z. So what is the business punya design, so that we need to know what is the actual design of satu company, kenapa dia berjaya. Adakah sebenarnya people like company like Dropbox, dia masuk Dropbox tu, dia masuk sebab dia go viral dan tiba-tiba dia boleh meletup. Adakah company like Zoom tiba-tiba sebab pandemic dia terus boom? No, every success is created by a solid design. Most of us, kita faham bahawa the solid design of business is mak kita ajar, ayah kita ajar, kawan kita ajar, kau jual je nanti kau dapat duit, kau jual je nanti kau dapat duit. No, that is not a design. That is called one hell of a strategy called bulldozer strategy. Now we teach you kat dalam satu sesi ni, kita ajar the actual idea of success design is when people times dengan methodology, then it can create results. So on that particular punya session, kita akan ajar pasal this part. So kita ajar how to know what is the success pattern. You follow that pattern, then you akan dapat. Okay, that is the first part. The second part, this is also the part whereby the actual people yang powered the business they have to start changing their punya perspective. By lepas masuk dalam kita punya session, you akan finally faham bahawa dia ada orang yang dalam mindset yang betul sebagai billionaire mindset. So because in the end of the day, alah kau ni sembang gebang terbang, macam bagus dia cerita pasal billion, kau duit pun tak ada. And then bila orang cakap pasal billion, because everybody was so talented of getting to nak jadi billionaire, dia orang terlupa pun bahawa there is basically a mindset lebih besar daripada billionaire, di mana mindset billionaire bukan adalah mindset menjual anymore. It's never about getting revenues and sales. It's always about getting more and more and more. So this is where dalam this particular punya session, you akan start to tukar you punya perception daripada everything is impossible, sampai kepada there is basically nothing is impossible in this world. That the tagline is called assuming everything is all possible. Kat sana kita akan belajar. So yang ketiga, you akan belajar juga pasal methodology. Tadi ada people, dia cakap pasal orang, you tukar dia punya bahagian, and then you change the methodology, whereby the growth is solid by design. Tadi you nampak tadi, kalau perasan tengok apa Khairul Azman, dia tunjuk financial roadmap. Ada gambar macam curve naik lah, ada gambar macam curve turun lah. So that is basically what we call a financial roadmap. Kalau kita tengok balik puan-puan, tuan-tuan, adik-adik, kakak-kakak, acik-acik, so so kalau kita tengok balik, the whole setup dekat sini macam ni tau. Kalau kita nampak the growth itself is basically, this is the part yang kita kena faham bahawa financial roadmap is one way untuk kita ukur kita punya business. This is where kita dapat clarity berapa banyak KPI yang kita kena target, berapa banyak net profit yang kita kena kejar, berapa banyak duit yang kita kena dapat, dan what kind of investment punya room yang kita nak kejar. So this is part yang ada kena tengok. Sebab kalau tengok dalam dunia, dia ada 9 jenis valuation of the business. Dia ada daripada Berkes, bawa sampai kepada venture capitalist punya methodology, sampai kepada discounting cash flow. Ada banyak. You cannot gauge apa benda yang venture capitalist ataupun PE punya firm ataupun investment banks keluarkan idea, ada orang punya point untuk buat you punya valuation. Tak tahu. But utilizing the financial roadmap sahaja, dia membuatkan investment orang kepada you tu jelas. Oh, aku tahu aku akan masuk bila, aku tahu aku akan keluar bila, aku tahu aku akan untung banyak mana, dan aku tahu company ni akan pergi macam mana because they have put something on paper for you to go and track and monitor. So that part you akan belajar juga. This is basically the reasons why some companies are all investable, bankable, and also profitable, because they have put something for you to put. Untuk you baca, tengok, oh this is for you to go and mark. Okay. So, saya bagi contoh, kalau nak bagi mudah, kita akan nampak cakap pasal linear growth. We're talking about linear growth. This is all. Semua orang sibuk daripada mula-mula kita nak buat bisnes. Mak kita cakap, alah kau jangan buka banyak macam lah. Kau buka je lah enterprise RM70 je. Tak payah kira-kira. Benda-benda tak untung lagi. So you buka company harga RM70. You kata you company, but it's a business. Sebab satu orang kata it's a business. Whereby the whole idea of business is to try to put it on the private punya mode. You buat, you pusing, you buat, you pusing sampai daripada maybe modal RM70, you ambil barang, you jual, goreng pisang ataupun curry puff you jual tadi. Satu hari you spend 100, you dapat duit dalam 200. Satu hari you spend 200, you dapat dalam 300 atau maybe 400. But the basis of that particular punya setup is this. You buat everything in private. You set up a private punya business. So you set up everything in private dan you tahu tak ada orang akan tengok you punya business. So dia ada peluang untuk you buat salah dekat situ. You boleh ambil barang tu lebih, tak ada orang kacau lah. Boleh ambil lebih, hari ni rasa macam nak bawa girlfriend pergi jalan-jalan lah, nak bawa skandal pergi keluar lah, so you spend duit lebih sikit. Ataupun nak belanja wife lah, okay lah, this is my wife punya birthday, so I nak buat. So you put everything dalam the management, it's on private punya mode. But what happen is this, bila sampai satu peringkat, you buka daripada enterprise tadi, dah pergi pada Samarhat, you buka besar, you dah jadi kaya sangat. And then you decide, everybody cakap, okay, you have 3 jalan ni sekarang. You pilih, you nak business you nak close down, atau business you nak go for acquisition, maksudnya you nak orang nak acquire you, atau 3 you nak go IPO. Ni cakap balik, okay tak apalah, tak naklah close down, pasal kaya ni takkan nak close down. So apa you buat? You decide, you nak go for IPO. Masa tu you decide nak go for IPO, sebab you sayang you punya traction of the company. But what happen is this, when daripada set tadi ni, you go from this point to this point, saya pakai dia, to this point, you nak go for IPO, then you dah ramp up you punya business to this level. But this is what happened. This timing yang you keluar tadi is all tailored towards the private management punya system. Everything was done in private. So tak ada orang tengok you punya system, you tak biasa buka you punya part public, you tak tunjuk ke orang, this is how much I fork out, I take this money untuk beli punya Mustang. Tak ada orang cerita. So this is where daripada sini, dan then dia cakap, okay, jumpa investment bankers, dan investment bankers akan tukar, okay lah, this is the best part, I go IPO lah now, because Dr. Wong cakap, kalau you go IPO, maybe you boleh go billion. So kita ikut lah, mana tahu jadi macam-macam, you know. But this is the point, when you finally go to billions punya setup, maybe dah go to IPO, 100 juta pun boleh, you dah go kat sana, this is where everything goes wrong. Daripada asal you pick tadi, you akan jatuh. Why? Because the mentality that they accumulate from this side, dia akan magnify dekat this part. But this is where all the public punya bahagian, you akan nampak balik, semua you punya account akan dibuka. We got all the prospectus, we got all the financial report keluar. Everyone can access. The whole people akan tengok. Masa tu kita akan perasan balik, oh, salah rupanya selama ni aku ambil duit sampai terlalu banyak, sampai 500,000 sebulan hanya untuk beli kereta. Oh, this is where everything goes wrong. And this is the reasons why most company adopting the linear growth mentality and mindset. Dia akan going down, sampailah company tu akan delisted. So, berbeza pula dengan you go to the next round, you go for exponential punya growth. Daripada awal, you set up you punya business in a format that is called a pre-IPO punya setup. You start daripada kosong, you even though it's a private mandate punya business, but you try to put it on, okay, orang akan tak tengok because it's a pre-IPO punya setup. You akan tengok, jadi you akan buka, okay, you want to see my accounting, you go ahead, tak ada masalah. So from that particular punya setup, everything was dealt transparently and you punya perspektif berubah. Daripada kosong, you berubah menjadi something else. You dah bawa diri you sampai to this level, governed by you punya KPI, governed by you punya financial roadmap, and governed by the actual success framework. Daripada situ, you go sampai this side. You go to the IPO punya part, dan boom, naik. This is, okay, based on assignment yang saya sedang buat sekarang, we're talking about 100 dissected business models yang saya sedang tengok. We're talking about company as big as LVMH. Kita tahu tak? Because I came from LV. Saya datang, saya dapat latihan saya banyak daripada LVMH. Setiap hari saya berangan. Bestnya tengok orang-orang ni datang. And then bag paling murah dekat LV was like 2,000, 3,000 ringgit. pada tu 10 tahun sudah. But what happened is this, yang datang tu sekarang tu adalah, orang-orang tu adalah chairman kepada JLC, orang kepada owner kepada very big corporation, yang owner-owner yang memang Tan Sri Mozani Mahdi, Masa tu, honestly speaking, kalau tanya saya terkejut macam dia beli untuk wife dia last time. Satu bag yang harga sebiji wajar last time, RM60,000. Wow. And then kita tengok balik, dalam list dia ada dia dalam top 10. Ada dalam top 25 billionaires kat dalam Malaysia. So, my point is this. Kalau kita tengok balik, the reasons why I came in masuk dekat dalam LV last time, because I want to know what makes LV itself a very prestigious company sampai dia layak masuk dekat dalam bursa last time. So the answer is never about the product they sell. It's always about the mentality of the owner. Do you know that before LVMH, the owner of the LV itself, sebelum dia buka jadi fine luxury punya business, dia orang punya business sebenarnya adalah construction. They change from construction punya point, dia tukar kepada kepada designer punya brands. Do you know that Khairil Group, suami kepada siapa nama dia? I don't know, tak ingat nama dia ni. So owner of the group is called the group is called Khairil Group. Is Khairil Group owner kepada Gucci contohnya. Diorang datang bukan daripada background designers punya brand, and then they change dia punya methodology from that side kepada this part. So this is all the exponential punya growth mindset yang you guys need to adopt. And the truth is, you buka lah kat mana-mana kelas yang ada kat dalam Malaysia, you buka tak ada orang yang akan ajar changing from this linear growth kepada exponential punya growth. So this is the reasons why we have to start changing the whole setup. So the reasons why we're having this roundtable discussion, panggil orang-orang yang hebat, bercakap perkara-perkara yang hebat, adalah untuk menukarkan semua orang punya setup daripada setup kecil dan setup tiny tadi tu kepada going big, think big, actually doing big. Kita ada incubators hebat macam Precession Capital Berhad. Kita ada penasihat yang hebat macam Dr. Wong. Kita ada PE firm yang bagus macam Khairil. Kita ada banyak contoh-contoh bagus, idea-idea gila tapi potentially sangat bagus macam Sky Innovative. Dan banyak lagi brand-brand yang lain. Even kita ada teknologi yang hebat macam yang momentum assessor tunjuk. Up to certain level, you have to choose. You want to stick being jadi jago kat gelanggang sendiri saja, jago dekat kampung sendiri saja, atau pilih nak jadi jago negara ataupun jadi wakil kepada dunia. Who knows? So, kalau siapa yang rasa-rasa berhasrat dan berminat untuk join this particular punya session, the session will only be costing you around 3 jam sahaja. 3 jam je, pagi pukul 10, habis macam masa ni juga, dengar sampai habis. Lepas tu, I will basically guarantee you guys that you guys are going to be blown out with this experience. So kalau siapa-siapa ada rasa nak join, boleh contact any of the person yang panggil you, ataupun nanti kita akan tengoklah, mungkin kita punya admin boleh minta admin kita hantar. And the cost is less, way less daripada you nak beli sebiji bag baru. So kalau atau nak beli kasut baru yang cantik, atau mungkin nak beli kasut the latest Nike, tak. So dia tak mahal pun. So next session akan dikeluarkan hanya by invitation sahaja. Next session adalah pada 30 Oktober 2021 ini. Harga betul dia, nanti kalau ditanya pada orang yang tengok tu, dia akan tengok harga dia memang sangat mahal. It's 1,000 plus, 2,000 plus actually. So tapi akan ada special grant by KSV, Shyan Ventures untuk roundtable punya participant. Get in touch with the pirate, siapa yang ajak you datang. Nanti insyaAllah kita akan brief. Okay. Sekian tu saja dulu presentation pada saya. Kalau ada soalan, kita boleh nak tanya apa-apa ke, ataupun siapa saya nak ambil balik ke, tak tahulah.
Sorry, Azdi, I salah bagi date tu. By the way, it's 23rd October, bukan 30th.
Oh, 23 Oktober.
23 Oktober.
Ini chairperson 23 Oktober ya.
Okay. Anyway, thank you Azdi. So, yep. Now we are at the end of the event. Thank you for all the speakers who yang dah present for today. Redzuan, Ayani, Azman, Dr. Wong, and also Abang Farid. And also thank you for all the participants today, willing to spend your Saturday morning sampai pukul 2 petang to gain new knowledge lah. So that's it. Thank you for attending our roundtable. So we'll see you next month for another round for roundtable number 3. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and goodbye.